Okay.
Oh God, I can't even say welcome or welcome to Sabados. Anyway, we have got Evie today. Evie, how you doing?
I'm good, thanks.
First of all, I meant to have you and Jason in. My
Oh
bad.
yeah.
I've always reached out to Jason 24 hours before we record, right? Because I assume he's now in London. He's becoming like more of like a British, where like time is not really an issue nowadays when it comes to him, but he's always busy. So we don't have him here. Yes, to our listeners, today we have got our boys, we have got Mo, Indy, they're back. The schedule's been really, really busy, especially Mo trying to power that way to go up to the 120s, and Indy working hard as always, trying to yeet that world record when it comes in Lithuania. So apologies that you have not seen them much. That's the reason why. Evie, anyway, how you doing?
I'm a little tired to be honest. Even though I specifically requested that we record my morning and it's your Saturday night, so thanks for staying in to record this with me. We just had a powerlifting conference yesterday, which was a pretty long day and it was really good though. It went really well. But yeah, now this is like as close as I get to being hungover. Like I just had a bit of a late bedtime and now I'm a bit dusty this morning.
I mean, when you say powerlifting conference, what does it entail?
So to be fair, like I didn't do a whole lot of the organization for this one. We ran one back in 2020, which I was like more involved for, but this time around, Dr. Eric Helms, he pretty much pulled it all together with all of his like PhD candidates and like past students, and had them presenting throughout the day on like a whole range of like powerlifting related topics. So we had like biomechanics and we had nutrition and we also had Jason Tremblay from TSG because he's in New Zealand at the moment. He came and presented on a milestone based approach to injury, like returning to the
Mm.
sport from injury, which was super interesting. So yeah, Eric was like, we've got all these great minds, let's use them and put on this conference.
How much did that
Nice.
cost
So we did
for
in
people?
person in person was like 99 New Zealand dollars, which would probably be like 50 pounds.
Okay.
And then we also ran an online like so we've got it we live streamed it and we've also got a recording for sale. So that's like 49 New Zealand dollars. So that's like 25 pounds or something like
Nice.
that.
Okay.
I mean, I would
Sensible,
say, see,
sensible then. Sensible amount of money then.
I know why probably Indy is asking that
What do you mean?
question
I don't
because
know. I'm
anyway,
just asking for general reasons.
you would definitely burn in hell. But anyway,
What?
let
Bro,
me
I
just
can't even ask questions.
yeah, let me throw this question to
Um,
all of you guys, right? How much do you think these type of event should be charged for? The reason I'm asking that because there's so many of these, right? We see like, oh, workshop with this person, workshop with that person, and then there is come and learn this conference, and then we're seeing prices. To be honest, from my understanding, price are fluctuating now. Before they used to be okay, it's like 50 quid, 60 quid, 70 quid. And now we're getting in I can't even say my mouth like it's so heavy. We're getting in the 200, the 300 and 400 per person. I'm just thinking like, what's going on here? Is people so what would you guys think these type of events should be charged for? I'm gonna start with you, Evie, because you just run one.
The thing is, right, like it totally depends on what your overheads are. Like we're really lucky in that we had the venue for free because Eric works at AUT, which is Auckland University of Technology, and they agreed for us to use the conference room there. Um, he basically convinced all of us speakers to present for free. I mean, we're like giving them a sort of like a we call it koha, but like a gift, like a donation, but they're not really being paid to speak, and they very graciously agreed to do that. But you know, like they have
mm,
years of education behind them, so it wouldn't be unreasonable for us to pay them uh, an amount of money that like matches their level of experience and knowledge. Um, and you know whatever else you have to pay, like if you're paying to register people for the event, which we don't have to pay for because we already have that as a powerlifting association. We have an online platform for that stuff. Like, it, you know, if you were paying another service to come and record it and live stream it for you, that's going to be a really big expense. But thankfully, we have two very great people within our powerlifting committee who are willing to do that for us. And we're just paying them a nominal amount. So, I mean, yeah, your expenses can quite quickly get way higher than ours were. We were able to run it really cheaply and make it so that that knowledge is really accessible, which is what we want to do, right? Like if we want everyone in the sport to like be upskilling, then we have to make it accessible. But I guess like not everyone is going to have that opportunity.
But I think you didn't answer my question. How much do you think these type of events should be charging
Yeah, I
for?
was gonna say it's very like politically answered, wasn't it? Then
Exactly.
I just don't want to like
step on anyone's
I don't
toes.
want
Do it.
to.
Step on them.
No, because like obviously like my perspective is like you should make it as accessible as possible. So whatever amount that you can run it for, you know, and the cheapest amount that you can run it for is what you should price it at, is my
So
opinion.
how
And
much
like
would you pay? Let me turn the question because I think this is hard for you to answer. How much would you pay for
Because it's
events like
hard.
that?
I would probably pay a couple of $100, yeah, for like a 1 day conference.
So a couple of $100, so let's say $200.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, with the check that you collected at Sheffield, of course you can afford it.
I know. You know what I mean,
I mean, Mo, how much would you pay for events like that?
Mo, the most. Why are you asking Mo about pay? Mo, so, right now
Bro,
that Mo can't speak,
your
let me
mic
tell
is
you
not
about
on
Mo.
mute, bro.
I'm glad he can't talk.
But
Mo
why
doesn't
is his
spend
mic on
anything.
mute?
Mo was complaining about a mattress costing £200.
That seems quite
Calm
cheap for a
down. Let's
mattress.
Yeah,
calm down.
Mo.
What do you mean that's cheap for a
Mo complains
mattress?
about everything when it comes to money.
Let's calm
So,
down here, right? I
how
was
much
I'm
would
about to
you
pretty
pay
break
for?
stingy
customer.
too, to be fair, but
Not as stingy as Mo.
What's the standard price of a mattress?
I don't know, but
800
like
to £1,000. I think it's £1,000 for a good one.
£1,000 for a
£1,000,
mattress.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's expensive, but I would
That's
expect like,
ridiculous.
yeah,
Mo was like, "How
a
about
good
you
one.
pay me £200 and give me a mattress?" That's what Mo said.
Like,
He got,
I'll
he
take
got,
it off your
he got,
hands.
yeah, he
Can
got
we
kicked
not
out of DFS for it.
can we not talk about mattress here because people be asking me how much I pay for my mattress. So
Yeah,
you
please.
just said £1,000 to start off, so we clearly know how much you pay for your mattress.
I did not pay £1,000. I said a good
Okay.
one is the
And you're
thousand.
still not sleeping well.
Durin sleeps on his Peloton, just in the garden, in the garage, like.
So, no, in Africa we have got those those mats. I'm still sleeping with those
No, we
African.
don't. We don't have those mats. I don't know what you're on about. We do not have
What,
those
Matt?
mats.
What are you
I
doing?
don't know what it's on about.
So, are you taking us back to Congo?
Anyway, never mind. Mo, how much would you pay for events like that?
No, I ain't gonna lie to you. See, I struggle to pay £2.50 to go to work. So don't ask me how much I'm paying for a conference.
So basically, all these invites we're getting a left, right, center. We're never going to see most first then because those
Bro, how much
prices.
money did you make at Arnold? Spend that on a mattress?
It was what? How much was it? It was only £860.
We
Yeah,
spend it on a mattress then. What are you spending £200 on a mattress for? Answer the question. Go on.
Anyway, Mo, so
Well,
you would struggle to
it's a
pay.
weird one, right? Because I think Eva made some very valid points. It depends on what your overheads are. If you get the venue for free and if you get the coaches willing to come down for free, you get the food supplied for free, the staff, whatever you need, then it's reasonable, make it as accessible as possible. But if you're going to have to pay for a venue, and that's referencing probably what everyone's kind of talking about in the background, right? A venue cost is probably going to come up to somewhere between the mid 500s to 600 for a day. Food per person per head, that's probably what, an extra 200.
Wait, do your food provided?
No, we
Probably food
didn't.
would be.
No,
Oh,
food
We
ain't
didn't
going to be
feed.
provided.
We only fed the speakers. We didn't feed the attendees. So,
Yeah.
like, you know, again, we kept it cheaper because I don't
I
think
don't
anything.
think there's going to be food provided at any events like that, if I'm
There's
perfectly
no
honest.
way they're charging that much and not providing food.
It would have been
I don't.
if food was
I don't.
provided, it would be like a bullet point on there because
Yeah.
it's something you're
I
giving
don't.
people.
I don't think proof it if food is provided because I've been to one
See,
of those. Yeah.
Mo
That's
trying to
wild.
get the most for his money. If food's provided and travel's provided, and
I
I
was
have a
gonna say
hotel
parking provided.
and parking, I'll pay £50.
So I mean,
Right. Well, it
Indy,
depends on your overheads. Yeah.
what about yourself, Indy? How much would you pay for events like that?
I think it depends, man. For me, it depends what I'm gonna get out of the event. If I'm gonna get a lot out of the event personally, then I'm willing to pay more. It's a bit like competitions. You're willing to pay more for a competition that's run really well. You're gonna get
Mm,
something out of it. Might be money on the line. You're willing to pay money for it. If it's just a gym meet with one platform and 10 people watching, you're not gonna. Do you know what I mean? So it all depends on what I'm getting out of it. As
Mm,
a lifter, as a coach, as an athlete, whichever way you look at it, it's that I think that and
so
at the end of the day, you
you're
get what
happy
you
with
pay
it?
for.
Yeah, and also
yeah,
it
I
Yeah.
think
depends,
it's
right? Depend,
yeah.
yeah. If you're a coach,
If
if you're a
you're a coach
powerlifting
or
coach,
a lifter,
this is
yeah.
it's invaluable. Like I literally went on a management training course, and I'm pretty sure we spent well, I didn't spend shit, but my company spent well into the thousands per person, for this course. So it depends on who you are, what you're trying to do, and if it applies to you. I wouldn't pay £1 to go to a weightlifting coach seminar, even if they had all the best weightlifting coaches ever. Right. But if I was a powerlifting coach, then my budget increases massively. If it's
Mm,
business related, then my budget increases even more exponentially. Right.
Mm.
So it depends on
yeah.
what you are and what
It's
you're
an
doing.
investment, eh? Like it's
Yeah.
professional
Mm, mm,
development. You're investing in your business and your coaching business. So like that changes the purpose of it a lot. But I think
mm.
like as a lifter, there's
Yeah.
so much good free information out there. So sometimes it's sort
Mm,
of like it's hard for us to justify spending money because, you can look up a podcast with like so many like great knowledgeable professionals
mm,
and they're giving away that information for free. So yeah, then we're like, oh, do I want to pay to go and see them or but like
mm.
yeah, if you
I
want to
think
learn more, you should.
to me, like I don't want to be too controversial and people start DMing me, left, right, and center. But what I would say is, again, you touched on a good point in the beginning, either when you said it has to be accessible for pretty much everybody, especially for lifters. If you are expecting lifters to attend this type of event, then your price should be based probably on the level with these lifters because
But
someone who's
here's an interesting point, or just to be controversial. The title of the actual thing is not Lifters Conference. It is Coaches Conference. So
yeah,
it's
that's
not
fine.
targeted
That's
for
fine.
lifters. Yeah.
No, I'm talking about the conference that include lifters, like those people that run like workshop and things like that, or come and
Oh,
yeah,
workshops. Yeah,
yeah,
workshops
that's what
need
I'm
to be
saying.
reasonably
I get
priced.
things
Yeah,
like
yeah.
It's probably because British powerlifting has more coaches than lifters, so they thought we might as well call it coaches conference.
it's true, but anyone in Britain nowadays, when they hold a hard barbell, they call themselves coaches. So I can't
Nah,
understand where they're
the
coming from
minimum
with that.
requirement is you must have watched an powerlifting meet, and then you're coach.
And then your
But I
coach.
think,
So yeah,
it has to be accessible to coaches as well because we want to see the level of coaching rise, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't want it to be like, oh yeah, everyone could be a coach or everyone's a coach nowadays. Like you've competed once before, now you can coach. Like we want to be rising those people up so that they have more skills and more knowledge. So those are the ones you really want to target when you're running these kinds of education because
I mean,
there's the greatest gulf, right?
Do you think it would have been
and
better then to have it online so it's cheaper and more people are able to access it?
I
Yeah,
think
but
you should
then
definitely
you can you.
provide that option.
The
Mm,
option should be provided. Okay.
yeah.
Mhm. I
If
mean,
you
Also,
can do
it's
it.
nice to have in person because you can ask questions directly. Also, I think that's the best for learning rather than watching
Yeah,
a.
but like
You
a
might as well
Zoom
watch another
call,
YouTube live
like
stream.
on
Yeah.
here, all you do is you can wave or put your hand up. Do you know what I mean? To ask the
Yeah.
question. It requires a bit more admin, I guess.
Yeah.
But it might help people get there. Like people have busy lives and stuff like that as well, don't they? To be honest, I said that and I can't turn it off now. People have very busy lives, so you might not be able to take the whole day off, or you might not, for people living in Scotland,
Yeah.
like I need a coach for her to get down. It's a full day plus stay over, and then you're not going to drive back on the same day. So it's two nights a hotel plus the actual conference. It might be difficult for people, and I understand self-development and all that stuff. But when you're looking at self-development for a lot of people, they're also thinking short term. They're like, this is going to take X amount of money out of my pocket
Mm,
for a
mm, mm,
potential of zero return, because you never know, you might not find it useful or you might not get use out of it, etc., etc.
mm. But anyway, moving on from that, guys, and to all our listeners, guys, again, if you wanna have your say, drop us a comment. How much do you think this type of event will be costing, or how much are you guys are willing to pay? Because probably me and Mo and Indy will be running a Salvador workshop very soon. So anyway, we have
And
we have the
before we carry on, we're not bashing anyone for doing anything before this comes
no.
out. It's just good to get people's thoughts on these things.
Yeah, yeah. Because again, we have got a world record holder here. We have got
And
6 hour
I'll
10
just,
genetics, and then
I
a 36 years old lifting against going up against
and I'll just
Russ.
like to
So
just make
what's that?
a little disclaimer here. I did not bash anyone. These two on the Wolves team, I am not. So I
Those
did not bash
slopey
anyone
shoulders
at
in.
all.
The only person I bashed here was Mo for spending £100 on a mattress.
Anyway, moving on, Evie, of course, we had you last time around. We did the Sheffield series just was before Sheffield, and we spoke about potentially what was the goal for Sheffield. Everybody on this, I mean, myself, Mo, Indy, Espin sometime because he understands powerlifting, sometimes he doesn't. That's why he's not here. So we excuse him for that. But even him, we all knew that Evie was going to Sheffield to hit pretty much what you hit at your nationals, that 480, or a little bit more on top of that because you didn't weigh 52, but you wanted to hit that type of number. That's what we did. I just want to ask a typical question in terms of like, how did it feel going to Sheffield being that strong? Because you went to Sheffield, you already knew where your strength level was, right? So how did you feel when you stepped on that platform?
Honestly,
A-
like,
And sorry, how did it compare to last Sheffield?
yeah, so that was kind of the first thing I was gonna say is like it was so, so different this time around
Mhm.
versus last year, which like I think you can probably imagine like coming off of the back of last year's success. I think I didn't even realize how nervous I was until I got there. And I was like, oh man, I really feel like, how do you better winning? Like, how do you do better than that?
Mm,
Like, there's nowhere to go from there, right? Um, and even though like I knew I was in a good position, like that I was looking strong and I was feeling confident in the numbers that I'd already put up, like you said, um, I just felt so nervous. Like I felt like I had to try and win again because if I didn't win again, then I was gonna be like doing worse than the time before, which is just like such an unreasonable expectation to have of yourself. Um, but yeah, I just as we were warming up, like I was really, really nervous. And like the first squat, way more nervous than even last year's Sheffield, which
mm,
is was yeah, like it kind of made it definitely made it less fun than last year, which was a bit of a shame. Like I was so caught up in those feelings that I
For
wasn't
sure.
able to kind of enjoy the competition. Um,
Okay.
yeah.
Because was it there anything that you had to go through during the whole event? Anything that you had to go through this year that was different from last year? It could be something they've done negatively or something they've done positively, because I'm sure probably you didn't take the Range Rover, isn't it? You didn't take that offer because I did not see you posting that you've been picked up by a Range Rover. You haven't. All I saw you walking around, you end up being like Mo. But anyway, so is there anything you done different this year than you didn't do last year?
No, not really. Like everything went really smoothly up until the competition. The weight cut was actually like easier this time around. I didn't have to do any heat exposure the day of, which we'd planned for, we'd like practiced for. I'd been doing like sauna training to prepare myself for having to do some kind of hot bath or sauna on the day. And I ended up not having to do it. So I was just sitting around all day, like chatting. Um, but I think like it was definitely, in terms of the competition itself, like it was definitely, you could see how much busier it was this time, like how full the theater was, and it was really, really loud. So that was quite overwhelming at first, even though I had the previous year's experience. And like I was really lucky to have that because I chatted to Nat down in the warm-up room, I think after squats, and she was like, whoa, that was really loud. Like I wasn't ready for that. I wasn't. She said, oh, I thought it would be more like Worlds. And I was like, girl, like it's not even close to Worlds. Like how extreme that like feeling is when you step on the stage, and like how loud it is and how bright the lights are and how many people there are is like pretty full on.
I mean,
So yeah.
I mean, the boys, you can jump in if you have any question, right? Just got a few more on that Sheffield
I'm just
segment.
trying to do some calculations because I feel it was very well, rather than giving you actual numbers, because Evie might know better. You won Sheffield by making your debut into the 52s, right? And I'm guessing you pushed the world record from somewhere from 445 to 460, give or take. So that's a 15 kg increase. You did a 20, almost 20, was it 20 or 21 kg increase on the current world record, because you shifted from 460 to 481. And that
Yeah.
still wasn't able to get you on the platform or the podium for
Yeah.
Sheffield. But in a weird way, even though you performed a lot better than your first time at Sheffield, you felt, I don't know, maybe a bit less appreciative of the work you did. I don't know. How would you wear that experience? Because in my eyes, you've done a bloody amazingly well. Right. One of the first things I wanted to say was congratulations on your performance, because that was insane. To push a world record by 20 kilos and potentially almost 30. Right. But how's that
Yeah.
felt for you comparing your performance this year versus last year?
Yeah, it's funny you say that because like based on the numbers, so like the world record before 2023 was 438. And I brought that up to 460. So it was 22 kilos last year, and then this year 21. So pretty much like the same, right?
Almost bang on.
The
Yeah.
same
And you missed
amount
your
to
last
break.
deadlift with a massive 216 pull that you attempted, right? So
Yeah, yeah. And I think maybe that was part of it as well. Like I had some number goals. I really wanted to hit a 170 squat and I didn't. We ended up going 167.5, pretty much purely because I was so nervous. My legs were shaking so much. Like I felt like I couldn't squat properly. And so after my second, when I came off, Jason was like, look, are you happy for me to put on what I think we should put on? Um, and so he went 167 instead of 170. And then I was really mad about it because I really wanted that 170. And 167 ended up being like pretty chill in the end. Um, and then yeah, the deadlift was sort of the same, like missing the deadlift, even though like it was a pretty like wild attempt. And like since then we've sort of discussed it and said that like maybe I would have had like 212. That might have been the realistic number, but obviously he put on what I needed to be able to get on the podium. But like failing a lift, which I hadn't done for maybe like 4 or 5 competitions running. I went 9 from 9. So like there was that little bit of disappointment in just failing a lift. So I came out of it being like, oh, like I failed my last deadlift and I came fourth and I felt pretty like down about it at first, but then like I came around to it eventually and was like, actually, there's like so many successes and wins still from this performance. It's just like that initial sting, right? Like of failing something or not quite getting what you set out to do.
it's an
None of us
interesting one.
here
It
know
definitely is.
how that feels, right? Because
But I missed the deadlift
going
too.
8 for 9 and then calling it failing, we don't know how that feels. For
That's
us,
different. That's a
and
different
we'd hit 8 for
situation.
9 and we'd be like, woo, great success. Durance won't even unmute himself here.
I mean, that's why I just stay quiet because that's a conversation I can't. So I don't even know how
That's
it
mad though.
feels.
That's
So
elite mentality though, right? Like failing one lift and saying I failed. Like, do you know what I mean? I know you didn't mean like that, but like, it's that's what like defines like average to like good to elite. Like, there's that jump. Do you know
but
what I mean? And
I
obviously, it
think
I
also
like
think in
you're
the
breaking up.
level,
Yeah,
Can't hear
it's
you.
Ings,
still,
you're breaking up like massively.
you guys can
Is
fix
it
this.
your bloody headphones that are going beep, 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 beep in the
It's
background? It
his.
is,
It was
yeah.
his. Yeah,
Bro,
yeah,
why
yeah.
have you bought these random headphones of someone walking down the street?
Well, man, with £1,000 mattress, man, your is terrible.
£1,000 mattress, you got £5 headphones.
Oh, days.
Tell me it's better now.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, that's
better now.
better.
Okay, cool. So what I'm saying, like, that stems to the point where, at the moment in the, especially like you're gonna be awarded in that 120 battles, right? So if you go 8 for 9 and you miss that one deadlift, that last deadlift you need, probably
Don't
that's
say
gonna
that. Don't
push.
even put that out there in the universe, bro. Fuck my life.
Okay,
Listen,
fair enough, fair
I
enough.
am gonna play your Malta World performance on fucking repeat in my gym.
That's what I've been using, bro. That's what I did for my heavy deadlifts yesterday. I just played the whole
Well, I think
bloody competition.
I was listening though, because last time we actually had this conversation with Evie, we were saying that during squat there was a week where during squat 300 kg 3 times, and he ended up with less than 300 in the competition. So hopefully Durin has changed the training this time around, and hopefully you're squatting a lot more than 300 on the day.
But like going on that point, like that missing that one lift at that level, like Evie said, it don't know, man. Even if it doesn't like affect you mentally, it affects the scoreboard quite a lot. Like
yeah,
Oh yeah,
we all know the
every
importance
lift.
of a final deadlift, right? Like
Mm.
that's like and
yeah, but but
that's
Evie, that only
also
work. That importance of the final deadlift only works for people that can deadlift.
No, I disagree.
I
Disagree.
agree. Believe
10
me.
kg is 10 kg, 5 kg is 5 kg. It doesn't matter if you get in your squat, your bench, your deadlift. If you're a bad deadlifter, but you're still racking up those kgs, it makes the big deadlifter, it makes it harder for them to pull that extra. That's all it is. Like, it's kgs are kgs when it comes to competition for me, man. Like,
But when you're going up against someone like Anna or yourself, Indy, right? Someone that does not have a deadlift like some of us, even if I miss my third, the man can still fucking load 390, 400. There's no way
yeah,
you
but
can
you
cover that.
every kg you put
Do
on, every
you know
kg
what I
you
mean?
put on makes it that much harder for him, whoever it is.
I suppose like it still matters even if you're not a deadlifter
Yeah.
because this I mean it's your last attempt of the day. Like that's your last opportunity to squeeze out every kilo that you've got and that's where it really, really counts that you make a good choice because you like Evie says like you're trying to push the deadlifter to have to pull more than they're actually capable of pulling. And like that's essentially what happened for me. Like I'm pretty good at deadlifting, but that was too much. 216 was too much for me to pull on that day. And yeah, we knew what probably was the realistic number, but I just got pushed out of that range to have to try and pull to get onto the podium.
But at that moment as well, at that instant, that's where we always say it was needed for you to load that 216. Whether you're gonna get it or miss it, but you had to. You didn't have no choice. You had to.
And
You have to
it would
try,
have
right?
changed, yeah, it would have changed the gameplay entirely for Agatha, Leah, and Garola. Because you were gonna pull into first, and then almost I feel like Agatha would have done Agatha things, she'd have just gone for 600 irrespective, but probably would have changed that gameplay for Leah and Carola as to what they would have done. So it was a very key moment, definitely.
It would
So
have put me in second. Not Agatha was already like too far ahead,
Mm.
but it would have put
Fair
me in
enough then.
second.
Okay.
so
Yeah.
what we're saying here, without Agatha, Leah, and Carola, Evie would have won Sheffield again.
100%.
I mean, you could say that in any competition, right? Without all the other
Jeez.
competitors, I would have won.
No, because the only
That's
reason I'm
it's
saying
Durin's is
no, the
logic.
only reason I'm saying that is because that 69
69
world
class.
record was very low. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if this
Yeah.
69 world record was relatively like in the 570, 580s, right? If the world record was there already, then Evie would be a champion. That's what I'm saying that for. I'm not saying because if it was not any other lift, it would have won, but that's what I'm basing my theory on.
Yeah.
Is because that 69 world record compared to where other world record were, that was very low. You
Bro,
know what I mean? I
Yeah.
know.
Relatively. Yeah.
bro's
Relatively,
logic
exactly.
is if the Sheffield, right? If Sheffield's the way to win Sheffield was different, would have won Sheffield.
Yeah,
You
like
know what?
yeah. That's why the competition is designed that way, because like
Yeah.
these crazy things can happen where you've got all three people gunning for this one record and then all three of them are on the podium. And it makes it exciting. So like I'm not mad about that because like I also took advantage of that. I'm still
Previous
taking
year.
advantage of it.
So what I
Um,
mean, you mentioned one thing about in the beginning. You said you won Sheffield, and you're going to Sheffield this time. It's almost like in the mind says almost like what's better than winning last year? You know, what else can I do? So what did you guys change in terms of like the approach to training or anything? Is there anything that has changed in your programming, or is it just like the same momentum that you had the year before? You just carry on with it.
Yeah, not a whole lot changed to be honest. I think that like my weight cutting has gotten better. My nutrition has also improved. So like there's lots of learning that's happened there in the past year that's made it easier for me. And I can now cut more weight, so I'm training heavier, which is good. But the training itself, like we're really happy with how that continues to go. So pretty much like minor little tweaks, but for the most part kept the same structure throughout.
Mo
I'm
would
glad.
like to know how you do such heavy cuts without cramping.
It's all in the
Well,
rehydration.
rehydration. My cramping is not related to cutting at all. It's just now.
But
I
by
don't
the
know what's
way,
going on.
before you start having a go at me and Evie have the same nutritionist.
I didn't have a go. Your name wasn't even mentioned.
I
You
just put
got
it out
guilty
there because
conscience.
I know I can see how you're looking at me. So
I'm not even looking at. Here you go then. I'm just gonna sit the whole podcast like this. Is that good? Happy? All
so
right then. How's it
anyway,
going?
You can't even see the direction of his eyes.
He's
but
absolute stage one waffler.
but Evie, I'm glad at the fact that you said your training did not change leading to Sheffield or anything kept constant. But one thing that's changed is Jason has changed the location. At least he had to change his location, but he didn't change your training, which is really great. Um, so again, I know.
Consistency is key. You know, like people want to change their I don't know if it's like I also think like from the perspective of a coach, sometimes you feel like you have to change things up because you're worried that they're going to like get bored of it or that they're going to kind of like become disillusioned with the process if they're doing the same thing all the time. But also, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like,
Don't change it.
just
Yeah,
if it's
100%.
working,
More, please,
then
please
like,
don't talk about it. Don't say the word change in your mouth.
What's your
Don't.
bench? No. Before we get into the conversation, what's your bench? And has it improved in the last 5 years?
Yes.
By how
Yeah,
many kilos?
in the last 5 years, I've
What,
added
2.5
15
increments every
kilos.
year?
No, 15 kilo on my bench, bro. Come on, leave my bench alone. Jesus Christ, one more
Man,
from
change your
165 to
cell,
180.
change your shoes, change your elbows, change your arch.
No, but Evie said change things that need to be changed, but also don't change things, right? Like that don't
don't
That's
need to
change
valid.
be
things that are
changed.
working.
Yeah.
Like, and like, don't change things just for the sake of it, right? Like, you're like, oh, maybe this other thing will be better. Well, that's not a good enough reason, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
like as
Like,
an example, if you're going
Mm.
out for deadlift and you've been using a certain chalk, what you don't use is someone random person's chalk off the floor.
yeah, if yeah,
Or
if that is important to you, I mean, yeah, you did lift a lot more than me, so
My-
Well, it's an interesting one, right? Because I understand the mentality of don't change what's not broken. But it's always, from my point of view, and I don't know if it's just because it's engineer mentality, the goal is always to optimize. So if you have a system, there's a famous engineer who said, if it works, don't change it, right? But you always want to improve where you can improve. And if you know you have a sort of like a leakage, power leakage, or things are not as efficient as they could be, I don't see the harm in experimenting. Now there's a balance, aka don't change so much that it's pointless, but don't limit yourself. Don't feel like just because it's working now, it can't be slightly better in the future. And if you try something, give it enough time to fully flesh it out. And
Yeah.
then once I've done that, doesn't work, bin it, and we don't try again going forward. Rather than having that thing in the back of your head going, well, that could work
Maybe.
instead. Yeah.
Yeah.
What if the
I
thing that's
think the key
broken is
thing.
you? Do you just change sport? Do you know what I mean? Just we've all been there. You're just like, oh fuck it, I'm done.
That's so great. So if you broke it to change sport, no
Just
more
change sport.
powerlifting.
Coming from Sheffield champion from last year, Evie Corrigan, if you're broken, just change sport, bro.
Change sport to get out of powerlifting. So
I don't know
Evie,
what your options are in that case though. Like it doesn't get like a whole lot less athletic than powerlifting.
There's a lot of sport out there because
aggressive walking.
Esports. Just start playing chess online.
Darts.
To be honest, Jurins and Mold probably injure themselves on darts.
Jurins will definitely injure himself at
repetitive
darts.
strain, right?
Yeah. He'll have bloody darter's elbow. He'll create his own fucking problem.
We went for an axe throwing event.
No, you're such a snitch. Jesus
it's not even a snitch. I've got that video. I've never uploaded it yet. I'm saving it for a specific event to happen. I have never seen for a man who claims Africa and I grew up and I did this and that. Your aim is terrible. It's atrocious.
And that's why we're powerlifters.
That's why
we're not playing tennis or like.
I was not trained to start bloody aiming, killing innocent people like other people in this podcast I've done.
Innocent people? What do you mean innocent people? It's a board, bro. It's a plank of wood.
Do you know what I mean?
He's a pacifist.
So anyway,
he's not
out here throwing axes.
So Evie, I know we spoke about, of course, Sheffield this year. One of the questions like I keep on asking people, and a lot of people keep on asking me as well, is with Sheffield, the way everything is run, everything is done. If there's anything that you could change or ask them to improve or keep, what would it
be? I've had this conversation a couple of times with Pete Spence, the organizer, because like for me, the part that is like most, I guess like the most impediment to my performance is like how big the crowd is. And I was like, oh, is there any way that like we can make it like quieter? Can we have less people? But that's definitely not going to happen. It's only going to get bigger. And I know that he has the plans to like, he wants it to be like in a full like sports arena, which is a terrifying prospect. I don't know if within the rules you're able to like wear, I don't know, do they do this for other sports? Like some kind of like earplugs or something where you like to help you deal with like the noise?
You can get these little weird earphones. I know people use them in like cinemas and stuff. So what they do is they cut off like the louder background noises, but like closer noises, like for example the ref saying command, you can hear.
I don't know if it'd be allowed though, because in the IPF rulebook they actually do check like depending on what you have on yourself and like earphones or whatever.
Yeah, that's also what I wondered if like it would be within the rules, but that's something that I've like thought about as a potential solution to that, because I mean like everything else about it I think is it's incredibly well run. They have some limitations in terms of like the venue that they're using, because like the warm-up room is obviously quite far away. There's not a whole lot of room out back when you're like waiting to go on to lift, so it like, I mean, it makes for like a good shot, I suppose, because you've got those like in the wings camera shots with all these people like milling around, like we're all like super close together. But otherwise, like I think that every year, like I say every year, the 2 years that I've been, the 2 years that it's been on, like I've been so impressed by the quality of the event.
No, that's fair.
That's nice. So I mean, because I go a lot of people talking about the way Sheffield is not is qualified, but the way the formula is done, the way it's won. Some people are thinking probably SPD should think a bit further to give other athletes a chance, because the reality is, I mean, I had this conversation with Carlina when I had Carlina, the likes of the 76, 84, 84 plus, for them to win Sheffield. They will. I'm not saying they won't. They will win Sheffield in the years to come. But in the near future, it's very, very tough for them to win Sheffield. So from you as someone that's done Sheffield in the lighter weight class, of course it does benefit you. You'll probably say keep it the way it is because that benefit you. But what would you say, or what would you probably advocate for those heavier weight class? Come on, you're mute.
I was gonna say I would let Evie go because I was gonna say I heard that discussion and it's come from quite a few lifters, and I think the problem is it's not the formula itself. The current winners for Sheffield, apart from on the men's side, have been women who have taken advantage, either moved down a weight class or up a weight class to optimize their leverages and lifting potential to break a world record. It's not like everyone that was there previously in the weight class wasn't trying hard and suddenly one person is moved in and gone, oh, I'm going to take this sport seriously and go hard. You know, it's Evie saw that she could potentially maybe retain her 57 kg numbers and move into the 52s. There was a massive risk there. You know, Agatha has moved down into the 69. There was a massive risk there. You know, Leah and Corolla have both moved up into the upper weight class. They're not comfortable in. So it's people on the women's side, at least, there's still a lot of flexibility in that moving within weight classes. And that's what's currently giving people the edge. Very soon, there will be no more. That ability to move in between weight class kind of goes away. If somebody cut down from the 84 plus into the 84, and broke Amanda's world record, she can't complain that Sheffield was hard for her to win in the previous years because someone new has come to a weight class. You know, it's not the formula is the formula. It's just people optimizing their own leverages and filling out the potential. It's nothing to do with the game. It's just the players that are getting better.
I tend to agree. Like, I think it's sort of self-correcting in that, like, as you say, people have taken advantage of those relatively weaker world records. And as they continue to do that, it sort of brings the whole up and will make it more equal across the board, sort of more like the men's side. And then it's just on the lifters to try and break those world records where they are. I don't think that I wouldn't advocate for changing it to say like a points-based system, because we know that points,
Not fair.
whichever version you use, like tends to bias some weight class or some end of the spectrum. And also like it's just not as interesting. Like this is definitely a more exciting way to rank the competition, and it provides that incentive to break records, which is like super cool, because how good is it to go and watch a competition and just like multiple world records are being broken just all the time, including the individual ones. So I think like it's, we've seen its impact, and that like it's changed even how the world championships now play out, because that strategy has to come into play even outside of Sheffield. So even outside of the actual competition, people are having a strategy. They're being very, very particular about how they choose their attempts. So that's like a huge impact. It's good to have that variety, I think.
I think one thing again to the listeners, like, let me just clarify. When Evie said weaker world record, there's no such a weaker world record, right?
Yeah.
World record is a world record. So what she was just saying, there was a lower world record and a lower scale.
Difference.
He just had the same thing with extra steps.
I did not use the word weaker.
Does it trigger people? Like, do you get comments about that?
No,
have people commented?
No, I don't. We don't get comments like that. It's true. We don't get comments like that. It's true. But the thing is, like, for I know because you have got a world record, right? It's fine. You can say week a world record, but for some of us, a world record is a world record.
I think the problem. I think the problem
it's
is
an
we've got
oxymoron,
yeah.
right? Like it's like completely like illogical thing to say because you're like, it's how can it be a weaker world record when like it's literally the most that's ever been done? Like it doesn't really make any sense. But
Exactly.
I think Jones might just be a bit sensitive because obviously you've got Austin Perkins in the 74 who is encroaching on the 83 kilo world record.
Yeah,
so
man, firing shots at Durant for
it
no
might
reason.
the 83 kg world record right now is weaker.
So,
I think-
is it what you're saying? Probably Ashton Ruska might broke the 120 plus world record.
Probably close.
What's that? 955?
970
No,
something.
978.
Yeah.
Yeah, no chance, Doug. No, well now here's not the time and place to do that.
Damn, you're calling Ashton weaker. I'm gonna tell him. But
Yeah,
anyway.
cap that, screen cap that. Everyone firing shots at everyone else. Durant thinks he's gonna beat Austin. Mo thinks he's gonna beat Ashton. I'm quiet. I'm just chilling.
Where did me being
Bro, you're quiet. You just said about not missing your third deadlift, so you're gonna deadlift. You're gonna pull more than Jesus. That's what you meant. But anyway, moving on from that.
What happened last year at Worlds? Did I pull more than Jesus?
I didn't check the record. You actually did.
I bought
You actually
receipts for you. You know, I've never said anything about this year, so you can stay over there, Mr. Malta.
Leave me alone. I'm 36 years old, bro. Come on, you should be ashamed of yourself. But anyway,
Well,
moving on.
You're only 3 years older than me. You know, you act like there's fucking 10-year gap.
Bob, Evie was talking about kilos here. 3 kilos in your total is you win a world championship. So 3 years is a long time, bro.
No, it's not.
How old is Tony, by the way? Tony's what?
47.
I've never heard him complain as much.
Bob. Look, Tony's been doing it for 30 years.
So that's even worse.
Bob, exactly. So he's used to it. I'm not. Anyway, moving on from that. Evie, let's talk about Evie now, right? So you did Sheffield because Sheffield was the way it went the way it went. To us, again, as Mo said, you did exceptionally amazing in terms of like for you to be able to come to big comps like that back to back and add over 20 kilo on your total. It's massive. It's massive.
20 kilos on the world record as well.
On the world record, you know. And
you know what I mean? If you put it like that, it sounds even more wild.
It's just crazy.
20 kilos as a 120 is massive enough on your total. Yeah, straight up.
As a 52, it's just like wow. And then now, of course, the world championship is approaching, and then you have at the moment you're peaking for it, and you know Naomi has always been your competitor. You know what I mean? She's always been the ones that always been both of you guys in terms of like since you. I know Mo want to say something, but you went to
According
Sheffield.
To the data,
you went to the first Sheffield with Naomi, the second Sheffield with her. It's almost like she's always been there. But at the moment, she's not a competition anymore because the way you've left her to like fucking full junction behind you. You know what I mean? So that's the problem. But what is the motivation now leading to the World Championship, knowing everybody are 4 junctions behind? Not even like the next. What is the motivation now? Because again, the reality is, whether we're talking here, whether you like it or not, if you go to the World Championship at total 460, 470, you're winning a World Championship.
I know what the motivation is. I know what it is. I've got it. So last year, Evie came out for a final deadlift, didn't take it, shook everyone's hands. The plan is this time to come on a second attempt to shake everyone's hands and walk away. I got you back, Evie. Don't worry.
Is that the plan?
I mean, I'm not counting anyone out. I just think like it's unwise. It's unwise to be cocky and to say like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna have to like worry about it. I'm just gonna come out for my openers and like, you know, job's done. Because like you just never know. Like the thing that I'm probably more nervous about this time around is that it's a really late weigh-in. So we're competing, it's a primetime session. We're competing at 7 p.m. So we're weighing in at 5.
Same as Malta, isn't it?
We didn't have a primetime for 52s in Malta.
What time did you compete in Malta?
I think it was like midday that I weighed in.
Was it? Oh, that's not too bad. Okay,
Yeah,
so now you have the same pain as the rest of us.
Yes, so anyone
Welcome.
who experienced that prime time last year, yeah,
It was
now we've got one
savage.
too. So
It was savage.
yeah, I'm really, I mean, like it's the making weight thing. Like obviously I've got time, like heaps of time to make weight, but like just a long day, isn't it? It's a long day of waiting to compete, even if you're not making weight, like just like a
It's a
long time
it's a double-edged
sitting
sword, right?
around.
Because okay, I don't mean to make things sound worse for you, right? And be like, whoa, everything's bad, but like the you have longer to make weight, but if you wake up and you've made weight, but not by much, then the eating and the drinking, a full day of not being able to do any of that stuff is just a ball ache, to be honest. I hate
It
the
is,
the
yeah.
7 p.m. starts. I think they're horrendous.
I think like obviously from the perspective of a spectator, awesome. Love prime time. Was so fun to watch them last year. From the perspective of a lifter, shit, not good for the lifter. Um,
Yeah.
because it's
But
so
that's with a
late and
lot of stuff,
then
isn't it, at Worlds?
that's kind of like the direction we're going in. I think like when you've got these events that we're trying to make more exciting for people to watch, like Sheffield, now that like these prime times, they do kind of disadvantage the lifter a little bit because there are those things that are not optimized for the sports person, they're optimized for the people watching it. But yeah, that's I think I went a bit off topic there, sorry.
No, I think that's
Yeah,
exactly on
that
topic
sounds
because
right.
this is this sort of conversation that Matt Gary and all of us were having, and Matt Gary posted about as well. Is just I know it's a spectator sport and you want people to be like excited by it, but surely people hitting lifts is more exciting than people missing lifts. Like for the
Yeah.
general, do
Or
you know what
or
I mean?
just being able to lift more because
Hmm.
they're in a better like physical condition than yeah, like not being able to eat or drink all day, finally weighing in, probably being like exhausted because I've gone a whole day awake and not being able to consume anything, and then trying to get myself like riled up ready
At
to
8 p.m.
lift.
when you're meant to be sleeping.
Yeah. And then like it's going to be over super quickly as well because it's the prime time. So they're like really fast sessions. So
To
yeah,
be honest,
that's
all the
like,
sessions, not even just the prime. Last time was pretty savage.
Yeah, I think I think like I've said this even to Matt Gary when we spoke last time. I said if we were one of them federations where the weigh-in is a day before, I don't
Mm.
mind for you to have a prime time at 7 p.m., 8 p.m., 9 p.m. Right? It's fine because you got time to recover from it. But we have got 2 hours weigh-in, and some people have to make weight like pretty much like they have to go the whole day without drinking or eating anything. They wait in 2 hours. As Indy said, you don't expect 100% success of the lift to be made. It's practically impossible. You know what I mean? Because your body is not actually prime enough in those 2 hours after not eating for 24 hours for you to go and bloody people like Indy deadlifting 400 kilo or more. Nowadays it's a bench now where you can bench like 120. No, it's not gonna happen in the 2 hours. You know, it's
Yeah,
hard to me. To me, it's like
and I think most people don't really train at 7, 8 p.m. either. Like generally speaking, even if you're
I was
working,
I was gonna say Malta, although Malta was a terrible competition for me, I actually had fun because it was the perfect time I normally train at. Because I'm normally training around 7, 8. So it depends on the person, really.
mm.
who trains at
I
7,
mean,
8, bro?
with the time
Nine
difference,
to
like it's
five.
it's totally goes out the window for me anyway. So
Yeah,
I
fair.
think it's like
But
4 a.m. in New Zealand
yeah,
when
we're
we
all complaining, and
compete.
Evie's lifting at like 3 a.m. Yeah, fair enough.
fair enough.
Basically, all of us need to shut the fuck up and get on with
You know, just lift,
it.
lift. So I think again, to me, it's not even about what the time of the prime time, right? I thought about this. It's not even about that. It's about the amount of lifters we have in the flight. That I still
Mm.
believe that is not fair on us as lifters. Do you know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. I'm a lighter lifter. Sometimes it might affect me different than a heavier guy, but the reality is I still pretty much go the same through the same issue, you know. And then especially like some of us that God are blessed with a little bit more squat. Do you know what I mean? A little bit of a good deadlift. You can't expect me to come out after 5 minutes to take two squat
That's
at
not my
over
fault.
300.
Why are you so strong?
You know what
Reduce
I
your
mean?
weight.
To be
So
fair, we
I'm
had
confused.
people drop out of the
You're
120.
complaining about being strong. What's my business?
Yeah,
We had two
it's
people
really
drop
hard
out
for
of
those
120s and scratch their
those
lift.
heavier ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, and like I guess that's part of your strategy, right? At that point, like if you're gonna make the turnaround that quickly, you're probably also gonna get people who are like, I'm just not gonna take my second. I'll just do a first and a third because I need more time to recover. Or like, I've only got like one good heavy attempt in me in that time frame. Like yeah, like it's like you said, Indy, that like, do you want to watch people do their absolute best? Like, is that actually the more interesting thing to watch than, you know, making it faster?
Like, if you want to
Yeah.
watch people fail, just go watch You Been Framed or something. Like, I'm like, if we're here to watch people lift heavy stuff and like smash world records or whatever,
Yeah.
like you want the
Yeah,
people to have the most of
the
it.
best conditions. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
I hope the toilets are closer this time as well.
I've
I don't
asked
want to have to run.
I did ask Gaston that question when I met him last time. He said to me, "It's not me, it's the TV that decide." I was
Yeah.
like, "Yeah,
But
TV
what about
decide,
the people
but
that
we
aren't
the
on
one that
TV?
signed the contract with the
But
TV."
loads of
You know?
loads of lifters weren't on TV. Loads of sessions weren't on TV. They were still just as fast.
Yeah, and then the funny thing, what they do is this prime time. They don't know what Eurosport or CBS will choose. They just present them all the prime times, and they pick themselves. That's why you
They've
see those
chosen
prime
already
times are
now,
like that.
though. They've
No, that's what I'm
chosen
saying.
two slots already. Yeah.
Even before they chose that, more IPF presented all the prime time to them, and they
Hmm.
pick which prime time they want to do.
They want to do.
So and then IPF can revert back saying, okay, since they picked the 76, the 93s and the 120s, and the rest, they just go back to normal, the 10 people or whatever. No, they just have to keep that consistency across the board. But again, I still believe it's killing powerlifting. It's especially the World Championships being there because Sheffield. Why Sheffield is so amazing? All of you guys attempting world record is because there's 12-man flight.
Yeah.
You know, you have got that recovery of you to come back after. You know, I remember this year when I went to Sheffield. I think the first person that squatted was what's her name? It was Table Tiff. When Table Tiff squatted from Table Tiff all the way to Sonita, I went to the toilet twice. All right, literally I came back. Sonita still hasn't come out yet. You know, and I'm thinking,
Yeah.
oh, wow. So that means all that time Table Tiff been sitting there and resting. So is it
Yeah,
easy for her to come back?
It's like, we're talking 4 extra lifters in a flight. It's equivalent to like 4 minutes. So like it's not that much longer from the perspective of the person watching it, but that 4 extra minutes makes quite a big difference to
For lifters. So lifters. So yeah, 100%. If it now, like, of course, we've spoken about your motivation leading to the World Championships. Again, I know as much as like we can joke sometimes, but the reality is the gap between you and the rest is huge. It's a massive gap. So is there any lifter you're looking around? Because I know you said you're not underestimating everybody, because in powerlifting anything can happen, as Indy keep on mentioning about my motor performance and the more 391 last year Sheffield. So anything can happen in powerlifting.
I never
Right?
didn't even mention
Mention
Mo's
that.
Sheffield performance.
So
Mo, you know who said it
geez.
right now.
so
You know,
is
It
it
will be 2040, and this Sheffield performance will still be haunting me.
Durans will be 107 by then.
anyway, is there any lifter you're looking across the board thinking it's not like there will be a problem to you, but you're just thinking, oh, this will do really well. It's almost like I have to be on my game. Anyone?
honestly not really. Like I don't really like
Follow.
I'm not super
Oh my
externally
God, please
motivated.
don't be the American saying you don't digest powerlifting content, please.
No. I mean, come on. She's within the powerlifting community, heavy New Zealand, man. She's the president. Are you the president of the federation?
I'm the
Secretary.
president of Auckland and I'm the secretary
Auckland.
of the National Fed. Yeah.
Yeah. So during there's no.
Okay,
there's a
you
different
do
level.
digest. Okay, go on.
Oh
Carry on.
yeah, like I think it's more just like in terms of like when I'm coming into a competition. Yeah, I mean, I know it's not that exciting for me to say. Like, you want me to give you some like some flashy soundbite where I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna smash this person. But like I'm just there trying to do the best that I can do. And like I feel like there's enough challenge there for me without having to like seeking out competitors or seeking out people that I'm trying to beat. Like there's enough challenge there as it is, like contending with the travel and the time zone change and the weight cut and the late weigh-in and the quick turnaround times, and like just competing in itself is like challenging enough without me wanting to create extra like conflict. I don't know.
So since you're so diplomatic, right? You don't want to answer my question the way I wanted my question to be answered. Let me
No,
revert
I will
this.
Evie,
not
are
give
you a
it to
lawyer?
you. I'm not
Are
going
you
to
a
give it
lawyer?
to you.
What's your day job?
And let me revert to my question, right? The heat the 76 have leading to world. There's Agatha and of course Carlina. And the heat the 69 have going leading to world because people are talking about them still. This 52, as soon as you say Evie Corrigan, you pause, take a sip, and then you talk about the rest, right? So as
take a sip.
And you leading that pack, what do you think your weight class, your people could do to have that kind of momentum like the other weight classes?
I can chip in here and just mention a few
saying
names.
like you're
Go
like
on,
Evie,
Mo.
make it more exciting by
Calling names out.
Yeah.
make your weight class more appealing to people to watch. I'm sorry.
Just do the influencer thing. Going to war. It's gonna be a battle.
What do you think you guys should do? Because at the moment, the 69, 76, and 84 plus, I'm sorry, and the 57, but 57 now Natalie has dropped. I'm sorry, that's no battle right there.
That was savage. That took me by surprise.
The other weight classes are bearing the rest. Do you know what I mean?
This on me? It's not my fault. I can't.
Because the reality is, right, the truth is that's why probably some of the 52 were not chosen for prime time in the Eurosport, because the 84 plus, right, the 69 and the 76, these are the weight class people talking about. The 52 people just going, yeah, that's Evie. So what do you think is missing?
Well, in the 52s, there's an amazing battle coming up though.
Bro, there's no
What, are you cutting down to 52s now?
bro.
I wish I could, honestly. I genuinely wish I could.
There's
Evie.
What battle are you talking
Evie.
about?
Evie's leading the charge, right? Just not to do a little bit of a recap or a preview show, but Evie's 100% leading charge. 481 is insane, frankly speaking. But you have Naomi, who is still a solid number 2 as of right now. But then you also have the American who's coming over, Megan Holstburn.
So basically, the battle you're talking about is for the first losers.
The podium.
What do you mean first losers? Julian, are you a first loser?
So savage.
Bro, I was the first loser in South Africa, bro. Thank you very much.
No, we don't talk about fucking what is this Discovery Channel talking about ancient history. Shut the fuck up.
I know you're gonna jump in and say that what Rondet does from that deadlift. Anyway, moving on.
It's fine.
It's fine.
Battles. I can't wait for Russ to sweep on all 3.
But trust me,
you chatted absolute waffle.
Russ is
anyway,
African.
In second position, there's a lot of battles coming up. There's Naomi, there's the American Megan Holspan, and then there's the French lifter, I believe, who is cut down from the 57s and who was put 540 and 450 total also. So I think you have a very tight cluster for second, which would be very interesting to see play out.
So there will be battle for second.
The other New Zealander as well, Megan Lee, she was on the podium last year with me. And there'll be also battles for the individual lifts. So I wonder if we'll see the squat world record broken. I know that Megan Lee has.
I'm still waiting for you, Evie, to say to me to answer my question. You still haven't.
It's all very diplomatic here, right? Because you were on about first loser, you put it in the wrong way. Someone had a go at you and then immediately started talking about the battle for second. So deep down, everyone agrees with you. They just don't agree with the way you put it.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. You guys
I feel confident in my position, but I'm also not like
Taking it for granted.
yeah, because like I don't want to be blindsided, you know,
Yeah.
like I just need to be aware that like yeah, they're a reasonable distance from me, but shit could go wrong. Touch wood, it doesn't, but like you know, like
I
anything
mean,
can happen on the day, so
especially Jason.
he's not satisfied with that answer.
I
I'll
mean,
start
Jason,
especially,
with
Jason's
James.
is a double agent now. He's
yeah,
actually working
yeah,
for the GB team.
yeah. Jason moving to the UK, believe me. Wow, God, Jesus Christ. Don't drop him though. But let's see how he works. It happens in Malta. I know
Not
Mo
being
sent me a few nice
in New
topics
Zealand.
earlier,
I had a
right?
follow-up question though, just
Hello,
just
I was
in
asking a
terms.
question. You just
Oh,
fucking start waffling on, both of you. Shut.
apologies.
Right. Have you
It,
found it difficult with Jason being in the UK? Like now, is there been a change or
Not really. I mean, like my check-in comes in at a slightly different time. That's about it.
that's about it? Okay.
That's
I'll
about
let you
it.
off, Jason.
Yeah.
I'll let you off. You still haven't come to see me, fucker, but I'll let you off.
I saw him a few times in London. And trust me, he's our chief referee nowadays. He does a very good job.
I love how it's come
He's
all the way
probably
from New
out
Zealand
having
and done more
beers.
reffing.
He done more reffing than anyone I've seen. You know what I mean? And he love handing out red lights. I don't know why, but anyway, never mind.
Maybe he's
Moving on.
German at heart.
Yeah, definitely. Especially with that mustache. That mustache
Oi!
reminds me of me.
Whoa! Whoa! Fucking hell!
Bro, I had a
Anyway, moving on.
follow-up question.
Move on, moving on quickly,
So
moving on.
talking about the 52 kilo class, right? Obviously, you're leading the charge there. You have flirted with the idea of the 57 kg class. Is
Flirted, but
there
she was there.
no in the
You're
future?
going back, that is.
Oh,
Hmm.
Yeah. So with obviously we have IPF Wars coming up. Potentially, well, let's not say potentially, but we have Sheffield coming up. Then we have Worlds, and then we have World Games. It's a stacked lineup. Are you considering going into 57s for any of those meets? Because you can't. Well, what are your plans? Because you've got three big meets coming up within the next few 12 months, really.
Yeah, it's this was a really hard choice to make because essentially like so this year's Worlds, as we know, is the qualifier for World Games next year, even though it's like a full 12 months. I mean, more than that. It's like what, 14 months or something before World
September
Games. So
time,
that's
yeah.
like, you know, basically like whichever weight class I compete at this year's Worlds, I am locked in for World Games. So I had to make the call, was I, because they're like combined, right? So it'll be 47, 52, 57, 63, blah blah blah. So yeah, it just wasn't going to work. Yeah, because of that combined thing. So I had to basically make the decision like which weight class am I going to lock myself in it for World Games. And obviously I'm competing 52, so I will qualify hopefully with this performance for World Games, but then I have to kind of make the call, is that realistic for me to stay 52 for that long, for like a full another year after this point? When we first made the decision to cut down, it was always kind of like a one comp thing. Like we were just like, we'll just do it for Sheffield and see how it goes. And it was like, okay, well, like I've done it now. I'm there. Like I'll stay for Worlds. Last year, stayed 52. Okay, yeah, all good. Little bit tougher to get back down to weight for Sheffield this year, but I got there, you know, on track for Worlds this year to stay 52. Whether or not that's still on the cards for me come Sheffield next year, I really don't know. Like it remains to be seen, and we still just evaluate each competition and say like, how did that go? Like, am I going to be able to sustain this in the future? So yeah, that it'll be see how this one goes, and then whatever happens over this sort of like off season period, will determine whether it's possible for me to, yeah, cut down again. It's unfortunate because like, yeah, I will be locked in at 52, and if I can't make that weight class, then I just won't be able to go. But I tossed it up as like, does it make sense for me to move to 57 for this year's Worlds and like
Risk
probably
everything
not be,
basically.
yeah, like not be that strong, like probably wouldn't be able to make it onto the podium, like essentially like forego a world title in order to like qualify as a 57 and then potentially also like not qualify for Sheffield either, like not get another invite for Sheffield. You know, like that was a lot to kind of give
Mm.
up just to
Wait, two
just
seconds, Evie. Do you realize what you rank as a 57 right now?
no.
I'm not even
You
commenting. Go on. Go
you
on,
know
go on.
you know you currently have the fourth best 57 kilo total all time tested. And then that's it, well, looking at this was knowing what we know now, Natalie's pulled out, Joe Namani's no one in class. You're actually second behind Judd.
Mm. I
Time to
just,
go
yeah,
toe
I
to
mean,
toe with
like,
another French person.
I
Do
guess, like,
both.
it's, yeah, it just,
Listen,
it wasn't
listen.
a sure thing.
Lift in the
Yeah,
52s on one day, and then the next day lift in the 57s as well.
that's pretty crazy.
Gosh, that's mad, isn't it?
That
We
is
can't
mad.
even
No,
do that
the
going down a weight cut with the same totals, and she's doing it up.
But the thing is that you spoke about the World Games there. Like,
Mm.
I was just sitting here thinking about it. Realistically, when it comes to these weight classes, the World Games only favor the 47. Yeah, the 47, the 63s. Oh, no, is it 47? Yeah,
No.
47.
It doesn't work like that. No,
Yeah,
it
because
doesn't work like
47,
that.
if they qualify, they can beat any other weight class. They can beat any weight. They can't just be above 52s. Do you know
What
that?
do you mean?
I mean, if
It's based off
yeah,
GL point.
yeah, but that's what I'm saying. If Thibaut Tiff qualify, she can go to World Games as a 50 kilos lifter.
yeah,
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
yeah, because
So
it's
if
the
favor
combined ones,
them,
yeah.
yeah, it favor people in the lower end of the scale rather than people in the upper end
But it
of the weight
favors
class.
you, but it affects your GL score
Yes,
in a
yeah.
sense. By you moving up, your GL score will go lower unless your total increases massively. So,
Yeah, but let's
so
just like if Thibaut goes 50 kilos, she might add another 15, 20 kilos on that total.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So
The
it favor them. That's what I'm saying. I mean, even now because I know you mentioned the World Championship this year, how important it is in terms of like the qualify for the World Games, the qualify for Sheffield. Of course, you touched on in the way in the aspect of you not knowing what weight class you're gonna be. So
Mm.
what's let me then reverse the question by saying, so what's the priority now apart from winning the World Championship, which is always going to be a priority? In terms of like qualifying for Sheffield and the World Games, if you have to do one of them, which one would you do? Especially the fact that you don't know what weight class you will be in terms of you maintaining 52s all the way along.
well, there's even
Yeah,
Worlds next in between that also. So
Yeah,
you need
there's
to
even
think
more.
about
mm.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah. So it's three
Yeah.
meets really.
So yeah, like basically, yeah, everything kind of had to be decided by this year's Worlds, and I had to make that choice. Like, what's more important to me? And the way I kind of weighed it up was it was sort of like World Games on one hand, that like I would be in a better position to be, well, I don't know, like giving myself the option to be 57 for World Games and potentially foregoing winning Worlds and foregoing going to Sheffield, or on the other hand, it was like I could get another world title in the 52s and I could be invited to Sheffield again. And that felt more meaningful to me than just like attending World Games. I
Mhm.
really do want to go to World Games. I think it's going to be like an incredible opportunity, but like weighed up against going to Sheffield again and like being a world champion again, you know, like that.
Mhm.
Yeah. And
Spending
I have to
money,
say as well,
making money.
yeah. I mean,
yes, that was the second thing. I was
the
like,
exact
there is
same
a
thing you said.
financial component.
The exact same thing you said in terms of like spending and making money. I had Steve Denova here with Natalie like a week or week before. He asked me the exact same question in terms of like the World Games, how the New Zealanders are what is it the noise around the World Games in New Zealand. How is it affecting people's preps to world? Is it something that you guys are valuing massively, or is it something like, oh, if it happens, it happens? Because one thing Steve said in America, no one gives a shit about the World Games. It looks like it's only
That's
the Europeans
interesting.
that cares about the World
That's
Games.
interesting.
Nah, I would
Yeah,
probably say that's weird. That's a weird thing to say. Like in general, World Games. I don't know, Evie, had you heard about World Games before we went to World Games?
yeah. I mean, I'd heard about it, but when it was equipped only, I didn't follow it.
Oh no, I mean like so even before, I guess actually yeah, you knew because of the quick powerlifting. But I was just gonna say to what I think a lot of lifters will that because I've heard a lot of the Americans say that they're coming to the IPF also because of the World Games. You know, Ashton Ruska has been very vocal about
Really?
that. Yeah, Ashton Ruska has been massively vocal about that. Austin Perkins seems very, very interested in the opportunity for World Games. Ross has also mentioned it, so there's quite a few guys that seem keen. So it's a weird
Hmm.
thing to say, in my point of view.
Because
But
what he said is around the IPF lifters that are on the world team, the world game has been spoken about because they know they're going to win world, and as Indy mentioned earlier, you know, some people sweeping all three, Russ sweeping all three, then all them sweeping the whole world, and then qualifying for the world game. Do you know what I mean? So the IPF lifters are talking about it, but in
mm,
terms of like powerlifting in general, they're not really talking about the world games
that's
as
fair. Yeah.
we should expect it for people to talk about the world game. Like, you know, the impact that Sheffield has had in powerlifting.
Hmm.
World game has not had the same impact.
Yet. It's because people haven't been
Yeah,
there, but like, and
Yeah.
obviously Classic hasn't been involved. There's a lot of things
yeah,
that are going to change, and the impact will start to become apparent after
yeah.
this
I think
coming
it's
year.
more that like we just haven't we don't know it well enough yet in the raw side of powerlifting, and like it's definitely like being talked about here. I don't know if people are that concerned about like qualifying for it, but they're aware that it's taking place. Although for me, I think Sheffield still is more important to me than World Games. So
An
yeah.
interesting question because I wanted to ask you if you were World Games and you had the opportunity to break the world record and but then let's say break a deadlift world record, knowing that that would hamper or reduce your chances to gain more money in the next year Sheffield, because I know you're just gonna run this back to back until you can't. What would you do in that moment? Would you break the world
I
record at
don't
World Games
know.
or would you
Yeah.
cap it and then go for it at Sheffield again?
Probably, yeah, probably more like a middle ground. Like if I could break it without breaking it by too much, like maybe like with the hope of being able to break it again or chip it again,
Chip
then
it, just
maybe
chip it
I
every
hadn't
time.
like, yeah, I hadn't even considered that to be honest. Like it still feels so,
Far
yeah,
ahead.
like
Okay,
so far
Yeah.
okay, better
away.
one for you then, or harder one. If there was no money on the line at Sheffield, what would you do?
Do you know what? Like I still think it's more. Do you mean that in terms of breaking the record?
In terms of your choices over the next year, let's say next year Sheffield,
Mm.
no money on the line. There's World Games, there's Sheffield, there's Worlds, there's your nationals. What then would you do?
I think that it's like Sheffield just holds like a really special place in my heart now, and like I really just want to be able to keep going. Which, you know, at some point I'm not going to anymore, but like that's always,
You're
I think,
currently
going to be
ranked
the
number four
goal.
in the 57s. There's loads of
I
progression
think
to be
like
made.
I think that at the moment like that it just, yeah, it just holds so much significance for me, even without the money. Just like I'm gonna have such bad FOMO when I don't get to go anymore. I'll probably have to like shut myself off from like all media about
Don't
Just
Sheffield
talk
turn
because
up
I'll
like
be
that.
anyway.
so
Don't talk
sad.
like that. Don't talk
Just
like that.
turn up anyway, but with your, your the background thing with your face on it. Just walk around
With
like
my
that.
own banners.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'll just
Yeah,
bring my banners from previous
Do
don't
years.
that.
talk
Yeah.
like
I
that,
mean,
Evie. You know, we have got more on the podcast. Don't talk like that. That's not good.
What
That's not
do
nice.
you mean, bro?
You know. Yeah. Anyway, talking
nah, I mean,
about
I think
how
like
you
I
form.
I
just
actually really enjoyed watching Sheffield like from the banisters with you guys, so it was fun.
I
that's
can
true
vouch
actually.
for that.
Seeing it as a spectator would be super cool. Or like being
Yeah.
involved in another way. Like I would love to be involved like with the organization or like the sort of athlete side of things or even like commentary or something. Like I would, that would be super. I mean, I'm a ref as well, maybe to ref one year. Like yeah, I would, I'm like, please please let me come back.
I
I'll
mean,
clean the bathrooms.
talking
Let me come back.
Talking about Sheffield, I think we had this with Carlina when she was here. We asked this question. New Zealand is I mean, it's a tiny island compared to some of the big nation, right? For you to have three Sheffield lifters, you know, it's amazing, compared to how many people coming from New Zealand. So again, my question to you is, do you guys feel like you are a team, or is it still an individual thing in New Zealand? Because I look at Tim, I look at you, I look at Carlina. I know I can only see you guys are Kiwis when you wear that singlet on the platform. But without that singlet, I can't really see a New Zealand. But
Yeah,
when
what
you
are you on
look at
about?
me,
Put
Yeah,
me
but
next to
I
you,
look
it's
at
the same thing.
you, I look at his stack. I can't
Yeah,
see the
exactly. Do you know,
GB.
that's a very
But
weird
when you
thing
put
to
the
say.
singlet,
anyway, fuck
Do you,
this.
yeah,
You know what? You know
honestly,
what?
Evie, before
Fuck
you
these
answer
two.
that,
Don't
Juris,
don't
do
don't listen.
you
Don't listen to
say
these
these things
two.
in your head before you say them out loud?
Don't listen to these two. If
Um,
you know my
I
point,
think,
what I'm taking my point to, right?
yeah. I think like so New Zealand, even though like it's a small country, we're actually like quite spread out. So like we have like a pretty long landmass. Tim lives at like the other end of the country, so he pretty much just trains by himself, or he has a gym down in Dunedin that he was training at. But and Kalina, she's in Auckland as well, same as me, but trains at a different gym. So I guess in a sense, like we don't train together. We're not a team in that like we're always at each other's sessions and like we know each other really well. But there are some teams, like more gym-based teams, I guess. And like I think it's probably the same in the UK. Like you've probably got some gyms where there's like a really high concentration of powerlifters and like you all get on really well, you're all there for each other's training sessions, you really support each other. And like when you go to worlds, like that's kind of the team that makes up a big part of the team. Does that am I right in saying that?
In
We
the
well,
talk
in
to
the
Julius
each
U,
trains
quite
in
a
his
lot of that
garage.
lifters talk to each other on the outside. We like support each
Hmm.
other. We like check up on each other. I think little things like that, I think really, really help.
Mm,
Like we have a WhatsApp chat with the team and stuff, but you got like dissemination from the coaches, head coach of information, but you also have me making memes of everyone. And just just little things like that, I think just help like bond the team a little bit better.
yeah.
and then
Yeah,
again,
I
what
guess.
outside the squads, one thing like again, what Indy said there, outside us having that squad session as a GB team together, we train together outside as well.
Mm,
Like the prep leading to the don't do that more. You're the only one that lives in Newcastle. Don't come down,
I'm trying to
right?
think who you've trained
So
with recently.
no,
is
Yeah,
this
recent
you
like a
ain't.
no.
squad?
He's
This is
lying.
the
You
this is
do
the only
G
prep. This is the only prep since 2022 that we have not had sessions together outside the squad. Am I lying on this
Yeah,
one?
true. Like, but Euros to Estonia, we had
You
so
know,
many sessions powering through together, and I know
yeah,
other people did in there.
Even the Euros leading to Croatia, we
Yeah,
had
Uh,
sessions together.
I'm not.
but
I
I
is
wasn't
this
didn't.
part
I
of
like
the
was sleeping.
bromance, unfortunately, so
GB
I don't know.
squad sessions or something like you
So
guys
we have
do?
one
Because I've
GB
seen you
squad
training
session.
at SBD
Sheffield,
SBD.
yeah.
Yeah,
HQ.
yeah. That was the
Yeah,
Yeah,
squad
which looks really
session.
cool.
And it was mandatory, and I was pissed that it was mandatory until I turned up, and it was mandatory because they were doing drug testing, so I was fine with that. But like, yeah, mandatory because they wanted to test like the full, near enough the full team. Other than
Mm,
the whole team.
Tony
Yeah,
and Jorins, who are tested so much, someone's got a fucking swimming pool of their urine somewhere, especially Tony. Um, but the rest of us will just like we'll meet up and we'll train together and stuff like that. Like I know for me, Jurins, Christian, Joke, and people were like meeting up at Powering Through because it's sort of in the middle of everyone and just getting sessions together on Saturdays. And I'll be honest, man, it makes such a big difference.
yeah,
mm,
Um,
yeah,
Especially
yeah.
for me at that time, like training in my garage in comparison to training in a gym with like loads of people. And then even the people who weren't on the GB team, there's like just good powerlifters with a good atmosphere
yeah,
around in the gym. Like when you're gonna lift, people load for you. Do you know what I mean? And then once you finish,
yeah,
you load for them, and it's quick, and it's just it makes a big difference.
Makes a massive difference. So,
yeah.
do you guys have the similar um similar things in New
Yeah.
Zealand, or
So
you don't?
so yeah, no, definitely. So like we have a few like really active powerlifting gyms, and where I train in Auckland, Get Strength, it's kind of like seen as the mecca of powerlifting in New Zealand because it's been existing for the longest time and like it has such a high concentration of powerlifters. And so when I'm training there, it's like a very, very supportive environment. Like we all know each other. They know that I'm going to Worlds. There are other competitors there who are also on the Worlds team, like Dana and Thomas, who are really close friends of mine. Dion, the 59 lifter. Um, yeah, we're all going to Worlds together. There's lifters there who are also prepping for like junior Worlds. Yes, and we're all sort of part of like the IPF powerlifting scene in particular, and training sessions on Saturdays, especially because we typically tend to do like SBD sessions on a Saturday. That's like that kind of environment. Like we're loading plates for each other, we're watching each other's singles, we're encouraging each other,
Mm.
we're giving advice to each other, like,
Mm.
yes, you should load that weight, no, you shouldn't load that weight. Yeah, and you know, sometimes they'll even come and train like in the singlet and like
That's cool.
that has that more team environment. It's just like I guess it's a shame that we never really get to train fully all together.
To be fair, we
Because
only
of
do that
that.
once for squads, and
Yeah,
even
in
then,
terms
people
of
It would
don't
be
turn up
cool.
sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I suppose that's the nature of like any national team, right? But yeah, so
Mm.
there's some of us who are definitely like a lot closer because we have that like local proximity and we're training all at the same gym.
but you guys must be very proud the fact that New Zealand, for again, as I said, for the federation, who you what you have as a federation in terms of the number of lifters. But when you look at your world level lifters, you have got some serious lifters. Do you know what I mean? So you call in a world champion, you were a world champion yourself, and when you look at team, I mean, he could be a world champion. He was like a lift or two away from being a world
So
champion.
close. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? When you see these lifters, and then of course you have got the 84 plus girl as well. So
Jules, yeah.
tremendous lifter Jules. So when you think about what you guys are producing for the nation you have, you are. This is amazing. Do you know what I mean? So
I agree. Yeah.
what do you think is pushing that? It's almost like what we all say, and my fellow Brits, forgive me here, we are quantity, but the quality is not there yet. But
I
you
I
guys,
was actually gonna say it's good weather, you know. Like
I
it's good
honestly,
weather.
as bad as it sounds, I'm actually with it, man. Like shit weather,
Yeah.
because I think it was Evie and Colleen on the same week were like, oh, it's so cold, it's 15 degrees. I was like, fuck off,
Yeah, and I was like, bro,
please,
that's our summer.
please. I was gonna block you both. I'll be perfectly honest and submit an as why they complaint against you both to ruin your day.
But then, but
That's
to
like,
be honest with you, that Emil does the same thing to me because whenever I say, "Oh, it's snowing outside," he goes, "What the fuck is that piss? Like
yeah,
that's rain."
yeah. Well,
It's
he
like,
rocked up to Estonia in the thinnest jacket ever, and I was just everyone else was in like massive puffers, and he was just there like normal. But I think weather does have an impact. Like in the warmer weather, I feel good. In cold, I just everything's horrible. I feel how Durin's knees feel in cold weather.
yeah, because they're
I mean,
36
yeah,
years old, bro.
Fucking 30,
maybe it
fuck
affects
off.
like the motivation to train. I don't know, but I
But
feel
I
like it's
also
so
think a lot
hard
of
to
people
put a
have
finger on it.
excuses.
Yeah. I don't
Like
know
I
if there's
trained in
like
the garage
something.
for years,
Mm,
and it's always
and
10 degrees colder in the garage. There's no one there to help. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, so I
mm,
think it's a bit of both.
But in New Zealand, right? Again, I know you guys mentioned the weather. Is it the reason I ask Evie this question is, do you have the culture of almost helping each other a little bit more just for that better performance or quality? Because the reality is,
competitive. You don't. It's I think what drives a nation to be better is their spirit of being competitive from a young age in terms of sports and
bro, if you're
physical
saying
activities.
competitive, right? Whose
Yes.
team gonna have to compete with in New Zealand?
Well, it's not about competing. It's like in terms of like when he was
you
growing
mean like a
up. So
competitive spirit?
Oh,
Yeah.
spirit,
mindset. Okay,
exactly.
okay,
Yeah. So
okay.
like if you
Oh, all right.
played if you played a lot of sports, like one thing I think it's famous in Nigerians is I played football. I did athletics when I was younger. We always competed from a young age. So by the
Mm.
time we get into a sporting background in our mid-20s, we already have a solid foundation, you know. So I don't know if New Zealand has that same culture. It's like for the island,
Yeah,
the Pacific Islanders, they play rugby from whenever they're like 2 years old or three. So
yeah. Sport is pretty ingrained in like New Zealand culture and New Zealand schooling in particular. Like you're like pretty much like not forced, but like pretty much everyone will do a sport usually like through primary school, and then some people will continue in high school.
Mhm.
And that is like rain or shine, we play. You know, it might be rugby, it might be netball, hockey, that kind of thing. Yeah, typically. So like yeah, maybe there's something in that. It's so hard to like nail it down though, I think, because
Mm.
yeah, I think like having like the role models there is helpful. Like seeing, you know, we've always had people who are going to worlds, and I think that helps. Like before my time as a high level competitor, it was Brett Gibbs, and I think he was such an idol for powerlifters in New Zealand. Like there's that
Powerlifting in
guy,
general, not just in
you
New
know, like
Zealand.
he's like he's going all that way. He's representing us, and I think like that really helps people to see that that is a possibility and to like push for that level, because they're like, well, he's doing it, like I can do it. Um,
So,
I think
and I
Durans and even Russell, I think they still wake up in cold sweats this day, like imagining Brett coming back.
oh hell yeah, hell yeah, more hell yeah. If I say bro, trust me, I
He's
ain't
hey,
moving
messing.
weight cut.
what about Tim coming back? I think that'll be a fun one to see eventually in
I'm
the
not worried
future.
about him. He's just a skinny prick. I'm not worried about him. So, I'm not worried about him at all. And especially like losing his hair, just like you, bro. I was like, not worried about him. But anyway,
Yeah, calm down, the
don't worry about him at all. You know what I mean? But
You can
again,
talk. Hello.
if
Fucking you, bro. Come
look,
on.
I still got hair, right? Leave me alone. I'm
I know
36
Your
you've
years
not,
old.
you've
hairline's
not
running
cut
fast.
that
Your
hair since
hairline's running away faster
2002.
than Usain Bolt. Isn't it?
You have
But
not cut
anyway,
that hair since 2002. You're holding on
fact.
to it.
Fact, I'm worried. And so, Evie, I'm gonna ask this question because people have asked me this question, and my answer has always been, I don't know. I'm in the fence on this one. Um, Between yourself and Bray Gibbs, do you think you are a bigger star in New Zealand than Brett?
why
That's a
why you
weird
ask me
question
this?
to
You know
answer.
I'm gonna give you a like a diplomatic answer, and you're
No,
gonna be
this is no,
unsatisfied
no.
with it.
This is a safe place. You have no
No.
understand that.
I
This is
already
a
know what
safe
Evie's
place,
gonna
Evie.
say. She's gonna laugh. She's gonna go back like this, and then she's gonna come back and answer a completely different question.
Yeah.
There you go. It's
Here we
happening
go. You've
already.
done that. That's it. Fuck it. So,
Uh,
do you
I
think
don't
you're a
think
bigger
so, to be
star?
honest. No,
Why?
I don't think so. Because I think that like Brit seemed to be able to reach like almost like maybe not outside of powerlifting, but like he just had a much bigger reach than I do. And he had a bigger international reach. I don't think I have the same reach. I don't know if it's like because I'm like a small girl and
well,
like it
it,
doesn't
No, I
it
think it's a
inspire.
depends, though. It
longevity thing.
depends.
He did it for a very long time.
No,
Yeah,
also
that's true.
what I
Maybe
was
it's
gonna
longer.
say is it depends on the demographic you're looking at. If you're looking at men, on the male side, I'll probably say Brett had a massive impact. And he, as an 83 kg lifter, is probably one of the most popular weight classes overall. The amount of men that fill it naturally.
Mm,
He had that impact. But on the women's side, I feel like, frankly speaking, I'll be surprised if a lot of women power lifters knew who Brett was. And I think the majority will know who Evie Corrigan is. So it depends on the demographic you're asking. Definitely.
yeah, that's fair.
So we can agree that you're a bigger star than Brett.
Not
You
yet.
won. You won Sheffield. Bray Gibbs was dreaming to go to his first Sheffield. It was just a dream for
Yeah.
him. Do you know what I mean? A dream that did not happen. But you won Sheffield and it came back for the second time and you smashed it. I love Bray. Great lifter. One of the, I know again, one of the outliers.
I
I
think
know
it comes
people.
down to the whole GOAT argument again, is a similar
Mm,
argument to this. It's the one component is longevity. And I think Brett was around for a very long time. I think if you come back to this question in a couple of years' time,
mm,
I
yeah,
think Evie
I
then can
agree.
very easily say, hey, yes, me because I've been there for just as long at that level and I'm still here, sort of thing.
And it's like the eras, right? Like that was Brett Gibbs's era, and like there was the like Brett Gibbs, John Hack era, and then there was the Brett versus Russ era. You know, he had like multiple battles and like storylines kind of that like spanned over several years, like you say, whereas maybe I'm just getting started.
Yeah, winning Sheffield and then getting another big check on the second one she's starting. Brilliant. Fantastic. But anyway, so that means some of us should retire. Anyway, moving on. In terms of like, of course, I know I mentioned
Just such
in
a
terms of
waffler you are.
who's a bigger star between yourself and Brett, and then that led me to introduce the outlier conversation, right? All this going on, was the outlier, was not. So I'm sure you probably have listened to KOTL so many times for the past few weeks, people talking about these outliers in the conversation. So I'm going to throw that question to you. First of all, what are your thoughts of just people sitting there labeling themselves being outliers even before even proving anything into the world? What's your thought on that?
I think you've given more thoughts in the question than Evie's probably going to give in the fucking answer. What the fuck?
I mean, honestly, it's just another, like, it's all semantics, right? Like, it's just another word. It's just another adjective. I'm sure that there is like an actual definition of what an outlier is, but from like a statistical perspective. And I think that shit, I've forgotten his name. I'm so sorry.
Rondo.
No, the deadlifter, 83.
I mean, Anna.
Enna did some calculations and he posted on his story about like what would constitute an outlier. But I think like for the purposes of that discussion that happened on the King of the Lifts, it was just like it's just for hyperbole, right? Like it's just to exaggerate to give like clout to someone by saying like you're an outlier. And I think, you know, use whatever words you want to use to make things more exciting and you know,
fair.
It's an exaggeration.
I'm glad that Anna is only known as a deadlifter, not as anything else, not as an European champion or anything, but just as a deadlifter. Fucking hell, Jesus. Anna, bloody hell. You know? Talking about clipping, use that. But anyway, moving on from
I had another follow question though, because there was another valid point. It's a building conversation, right? The foundation is everyone can call themselves a power lifter right now, right? You squat bar, you bench, you deadlift, you're automatically a power lifter and get put in that label of being a power lifter. So there was almost a question of, you can say you play football when you're a footballer. So where do you think of, if you want to consider yourself I don't know if the word is competitive powerlifter or an athlete, a powerlifting athlete, would you say 500 dots? So 500 dots in the 52 weight class equates to roughly about a 400 kilo total. Would you say after someone's hit 400 kilo total in the 52s, they can start calling themselves a powerlifting athlete, not necessarily just earning the title of powerlifter, you know?
I think you can call yourself whatever you want. Like it's just words. Like I don't know. It doesn't matter to me. Like just let the numbers do the talking.
So calling yourself whatever you want is more. You can call yourself a Sheffield participant.
I mean,
he is a Sheffield. What you're meant to say something like different that he's not done.
No. I said that. I said use that as an actually name. Call yourself that.
No, I like 6 out of 10. 6 out of 10 goes better.
You both fucking chat so much shit.
So leading to that, right? Since Indy is the only person that chats so much sense in this podcast, right? Indy 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, he started asking this question to people in terms of like, people call themselves athletes, right?
It wasn't me. It was Espin. At least get your facts right. Espin brought into the group chat.
what do you define as an athlete to you, Evie?
Me,
Yeah. Who is an athlete? You don't need to be
it's
diplomatic on this one,
hard
please.
actually.
It's just easy.
I don't know if we have, would I say we have athletes in powerlifting? I don't know. I think I would probably say like, I'd probably say competitor. I probably wouldn't say athlete. I'd more likely.
So in weightlifting,
Because I
they
guess
have got
I kind of
in
think,
weightlifting they call themselves athlete, but we can't call ourselves
yeah.
athlete.
Yeah, because
I
they can
mean,
touch
I
their
think
toes during.
you can call yourself whatever you want, whatever makes you happy. Like, I don't think there
Oh,
needs to
Evie.
be
I'm gonna go over there and
like,
puke.
I guess like, yeah, I don't feel like there needs to be like hard definitions for all of this stuff. Like people
You know,
enjoy.
you know what it reminds me of? You probably won't know, but there's a British breakfast show and it had this Italian chef and he was like, if my mother had wheels, she would have been a bike. And that's all I can think of here. Like,
Does
but I
that
know where you're
mean?
coming from. Exactly.
Okay. So let me
Exactly.
revert the question, right? What do you define powerlifter then? You know, for you to call yourself a powerlifter, what's the definition of a powerlifter to you?
Probably someone who's competed in powerlifting. I wouldn't say just training powerlifting. I'd say you have to have competed to call yourself a powerlifter.
Like at any point, or do you have to still be competing?
Well, if you're going to call yourself like currently a powerlifter, then yeah, you should still be
Then you should
competing.
still be competing. So basically, Espin's just a waffler.
Wow.
He
He's a
signed up for
traveler.
Was a powerlifter.
He's just a traveler.
He's a traveler. Yeah, he's a traveler. Yeah.
He's no powerlifter.
He's not a powerlifter anymore.
So
One
yeah.
word, like we use the word elite. I don't know if you guys sometimes will say like, oh,
Yes.
they're an elite athlete or they're an elite level powerlifter, which is also like similarly kind of like blurred like definition. Like, I don't know
Not
at
anymore.
which point you
500 dots
become
or more, and you're an
is elite.
Let me ask that maybe
This
just
is
me
the
being,
Sabado
you know,
session's definition of all
Yes,
of these
exactly.
terms.
you know,
Yeah.
maybe just me being just an idiot like I always am.
Well,
But
you can also
what's
say like if you've been to IPF Awards, you're an elite athlete. Is
No,
that fair?
no.
No?
Because okay,
Who
this isn't.
are you trying to knock down?
so
Oh,
you saying
fuck
so
it
you
out.
saying
Here
you
we go
saying you
again.
saying so you saying Aftab is an elite athlete?
Yes, he's currently ranked number 2 in GB.
Really?
Number 1, maybe even. Yeah, number
As,
2 after.
as a
Who did?
66?
No, as a 59, obviously. He's moved weight classes now, so he's
Oh, he's
No,
dropped.
but
moved up.
what if you? This isn't shade at anyone whatsoever. Before it fucking someone threatens to kill me. What if you just got like, for example, Espin? He wouldn't make the team, but if he went to lift it for Ecuador, he'd make the team. Does that make him an elite powerlifter?
Oh, you mean like other people changing nations? Okay.
No, I'm just
Are they
giving an
elite?
example as Espin.
Yeah. It's like world class or like world level or like international. Like you're like yeah.
People call
It's
Commonwealth
Ma-
juries called Commonwealth internationals for fucking years. That
I'm
doesn't
still,
make you a
yeah,
elite
yeah.
athlete by
I
going
still
there.
call it. I still call it international. You prick. I won it.
No,
Anyway.
it's you're not an elite athlete by going to like because it's an
and this
entry
is the
level
thing
comp.
though. Yeah, because like anyone can, well, not anyone can compete, but like, yeah, you depending on your own country's selection criteria, you know, for us, like oftentimes we don't have full teams for those competitions, so we'll send anyone who wants to go. So it really is like a participation, like which is and like I don't like there's no shame in that. I don't think like if you get the opportunity to go to an international, you should absolutely go and like you should
Ben,
absolutely be
pipe,
proud of
you
that
fat lump.
achievement.
Anyway.
But like
you know
it just
what?
yeah it makes it a little bit like it's hard to define because then like it sort of takes a little bit of like the prestige away from like those terms because you could say like someone's world class they've competed internationally and like maybe in other sports that kind of holds like a different meaning because it's much more competitive whereas I just think like the numbers don't lie like you know that's the best way to really like
I
determine
think
how
on this
elite you are.
podcast, on this podcast, Evie has been so political. It's like you've done an internship with Donald Trump office or something. But anyway,
That's not
let
politically correct.
let me
What are you on
let
about? That's the opposite. What?
His
let me
team
let
must
me
be the most awful
I
in
wish,
terms of like
let
I
me
representation
ask
of
you
genuinely
the
this,
art.
right?
wish I could like be in your brain for a
You
day.
can't.
It
You
would be
can't. I'm
fantastic.
36. I'm 36. You're 33. You can't. But anyway, let me ask this, guys. What's the difference between elite and world class? I'll
Elite
go
and
for
what?
you, Indy. Elite athlete and a world class athlete. What's the difference? I'm gonna start with Indy. What's the difference?
I don't know, man. I think I'm gonna sound fucking exactly like Evie here, but it's just fucking semantics at that point.
You're
Like,
so fucking Evie.
how do you classify yourself as elite and S tier? Like, is that like they're just it's just a thing you fucking call yourself, man. No one cares.
Is this
Mo, what
words to
about
like
you?
puff up the
Who
ego?
actually calls themselves elite or world class in powerlifting? Because I'm about to throw up.
Ross's actual latest YouTube video was day in the life of an athlete powerlifting athlete. That was what his YouTube
Yeah, well
video was
then
called.
there you go. I'm about to throw up.
The only time I'm using terms like that is when I'm trying to get sponsorship deals.
2 seconds,
Yeah, fair.
actually, Evie. Now that I just
Yeah.
thought about that, you're. Let me go back and find this.
So Evie, since Mo is looking, he's a data man, but he didn't bring his data. So how do you define? What's the difference between
Evie, come
both?
on. Oh, wait, man. There you go. Elite powerlifting.
Okay, I did not write that.
He's done you. He's just done you. Game over.
I did not. I
He
didn't
bought
know.
receipts.
I will show you the receipts of me messaging Dana, our social media person, saying, "Hang on a minute, I didn't realize you were going to post me because I wasn't even a speaker. I was just on the panel." And they called it the Elite Powerlifting Panel. It was me, Kedrick, and Jason Tremblay. And she posted me, I think really just to use like my face for promotion, but
But
I
hold on.
I
You say
dispute that.
you say it was you, Jason, and Kedrick,
Yeah.
elite powerlifters. Since when Kedrick is an elite
No,
powerlifter?
no.
Elite
It was the
powerlifting
Elite
panel.
Powerlifting Panel. So it was like
Okay.
coach,
So
nutritionist, and athlete.
you've
Yeah.
got an
Okay,
elite
okay.
coach, elite nutritionist, and you've got an elite athlete. So there you
Okay.
go.
That came in. That calmed me down
So
because I'm
I
thinking
think
that.
elite like surely elite is above world class, right? Because to be a world class athlete is certain. Elite is like the pinnacle, the top. If you want to like break down the terminology of it, then elite is like the tip. Do you know what I mean? But to be
But then it's
honest,
almost like, does elite change from like, can you be like elite in New Zealand, but like not like, is it like elite
so it's
versus
it's
like
it's a regular,
regular
national,
elite?
world class, elite, super elite in charge of eliteness, and then right at the top there's an outlier. Right. So which
I,
one do you want to be?
I think for me again, a world class
Yeah.
athlete is someone that is in a world team that has got a respectable total, right? And that
Yeah.
to me is a world class athlete. You can make a world team and has got respectable total. You can call yourself world class. You can only call yourself elite if you're going to world to compete for top positions. What I mean top position, not necessarily being winning, even like podium or top five, then you can
Top
call yourself an
five,
elite.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Top
When
five
you're in
is
that top
pretty elite.
five, you can call yourself an elite. But if you're not, then some of us should just go back to and pack our bags, go back to our gyms and start training again to get to that level. Stop using the word. But anyway,
On that, I'm going to
go on.
ask you a question. Do you think that there should be a minimum requirement for entering a world championships?
100%.
Yes.
100%.
It's a tough one, right? So this is
No,
where
it's
this
not.
is.
How is it a tough
No.
one?
Wait.
No.
2 seconds, lads. Just 2 seconds, all right? This is where the problem comes in. When you have new nations, for example, China's recently joined the IPF, right?
Yeah.
And I know there 100% will be some freakish Chinese powerlifters coming
We're
very
still waiting
soon.
for them.
No,
Yeah.
they're being packaged with the right equipment. But
You mean
Man just call them drug
did
users
you
live
just say
on
it with
Tomato
the right
podcast.
equipment or they've been drained so they can be wiped? But anyway, go on.
when they will struggle to get lifted if we had a qualifying total. So by putting
Why?
in a qualifying total, you kind of eliminate some countries. from being at the international platform.
Why would
Now,
they?
Why?
Why would
Not a
they
should
world,
they
you
struggle?
be?
don't.
Sorry?
Not
Why
a
would they
world, you
struggle?
don't. You got Asian championships. You got like
Mm.
international regional-ish
Yeah.
championships where you can go to
Yeah.
qualify. Like the World Championships is technically like Sheffield and World Games aside, the World
Yeah.
Championships is that top tier.
Mm.
You can't have someone, for example, in the 120s going into that top tier lifting 500 kg, bro. You wouldn't be allowed to qualify for British. So
Mm.
Why are you
how the
allowed to
fuck does that work?
qualify for awards?
Yeah.
It
I
doesn't
think
Yeah.
work.
I kind of I sympathize with that view, Mo, because I sort of think like it's important to have that worldwide representation. Like we don't just want to see, the super strong lifters from the US, the super strong lifters from Europe, and like that's it. And we call that a
Mm.
worlds. Like we want to see the actual like all these teams from across the world. And like it's good for like sport diplomacy.
Mm.
But I
But
think
you
it's interesting you say, Indy, about like the regional championships because almost like by creating worlds is that level like where you do have to be,
So
you
qualifying
know,
procedure basically.
mm.
yeah, if you had some, but like it kind of puts more,
Emphasis
it
in the
actually kind of like,
regions. Yeah.
yeah, on the region,
And
which is
also
cool
like
because,
I don't like this idea of the world championship being every year. The world
Okay, there you've
championship.
lost me there. But it's like the equivalent of getting Mo to run against Bolt in 100 meters. Do you know what I mean? Or
What
any
do you
other
mean?
sport for
I'll
that
put up a
matter.
good fight.
What do you mean I
Bro,
lost
what do
you
you mean you
there?
put up a good fight? As in,
Nah,
like
I'm
you don't
rapid is.
like all other sports at that level, at the World Cups or whatever you have, you've gone through like certain level of checks before you're allowed to get there.
Sure.
Do you know what I
yeah,
mean? Like for boxing, for example, you won't just give someone a chance at the title.
Yeah, that's
mm,
what I'm saying.
Right.
Like, to me, like when you're talking
But
about region in the,
2 seconds.
spoke about region there, to me that is key. If the world championship goes every other year, the year before people can go to the region and qualify for the world championship the year after. But in the same
yeah,
year, it's hard,
I kind of
especially
agree
the
with
way
that.
the
Yeah,
calendar is. It's hard
because
for
it's
us,
too
let's
many
No,
just say.
no.
comps. Yeah,
My question, Mo's point was you can't. There's like they won't be able to put a so to give a total for the World Championships. You need to have achieved that at an international, right?
Mm,
Okay, so make it so that you needed to have achieved that international in the last 2 years, 3 years. It doesn't need to be in the last 12 months.
mm, mm.
That way, you can still have worlds every year, and you don't need to like. Do you know what I mean? Like, worlds
But then
should
again,
be every year.
the nationals will be redundant now because if I go to world and I do well this year, I don't have to do nationals next year. You know what I mean? And
Why? Of course you do.
I can just tell the team. I say, look, I had a very good total last year. That total qualified me for the next world. Do you know what I
But
mean?
I
your
think
own
it
team
would.
process is your own team process. That's
Yeah,
not part of this.
Mm, mm,
You know what? I'm gonna just throw because I was trying to read what the athletic committee does for Olympics, and apparently they have a qualifying time requirement for every single sport, but also they have a world ranking, and
mm.
basically there's kind of like a cut off, and if you're within that top 200, you kind of make it to be invited to the Olympics. So, would you guys be interested in a model where rather than countries nominating athletes to go to worlds? There was kind of just a massive ranking table, and at the end of the year, whoever was in the top 100 goes through. Now you get
gets
a lot of American
invited.
athletes.
I
Yeah,
think
but
I
I
Mm.
think
think
that's
primary thing.
you'd have less like country like unity. Do you know what I mean? That you have now, like you have the
Mm.
Mm,
GB team going, you have this team going, you have that team going. That then goes out the window a little bit because then you'd be like, instead of having the World Cup, would you have the best 11 players and the best 11 players playing
but
together, and whoever
yeah.
wins the. Like I think the way we're doing it is fine, but there needs to be a minimum kg entry, like
Mm.
and whatever that may be, like it can be quite low if you want to, like 120s. If you haven't hit 780 kg, you're not allowed in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's,
Something
but
that's
I think it,
doable, but
yeah, it would add more, it would give more emphasis onto those regional championships because
mhm,
now, like, if Worlds is harder to go to, you're going to get people who are going to regionals more, which would be quite
mhm.
cool to see.
Yeah, because
And it gives more meaning to those like regional titles, like to say
Yeah.
that you're
Yeah,
like the Asian champ.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Like
some
I
of the
know, for
region.
example, loads of people didn't go to the Asian champs because they're just saving it for Worlds
Loads of
because it
people
doesn't
won't
mean
go
Yeah.
to
anything to
Euros
them.
this year
But
because they're
man,
going to be saving
the
themselves for
Euro,
Worlds.
even the Euros in Croatia. Do you know what I mean? It was no like the Euros we normally go. The Euros we went in 2022, that was the Euros when
Yeah.
we had world champions there
But
competing.
that's also an
You know?
issue with the density of competitions on the calendar. Like it's cool
Yeah.
that there's so many, but powerlifters typically only compete 2, maybe 3 times a year.
Yeah.
It's too much to like try and do that many competitions, or particularly not that many internationals. So I kind of think that like I kind of agree that maybe if you had worlds every other year and then you
Mhm.
had the regionals the year prior, you know, that might
But then Sheffield every 2
be
years as
good.
well, it would
Yeah.
have to be.
Sheffield every 2 years, make it like the World Cup. We have the World Cup after 4 years. The Olympics are after 4 years. Do you know what I mean? So we have got the
But there's
Euros
there's
after
You
world
have the
4 years.
there's world
championships every
championships
single
every
year.
year.
Mhm.
Yeah, you
Like
have
athletics world championships are
Yeah,
every
but they
single
can.
year.
That's what I'm saying. They can create another
What sub?
Mm.
competition.
What fucking pre-worlds and then worlds and then
Whatever it is. I
post-worlds?
mean, these
Fucking
guys
hell.
are look. I'm sure they're clever than me. They can come up with ideas of how they can make this sustainable. But the thing
Yeah.
is, like the reality of what we're saying, powerlifting, the way it's moving, the sport is growing. They need to find a way how to make it literally sustainable. This
Yeah.
every year thing that you're talking about. This will get to the point where people start breaking
I
for
don't
real.
think it is.
Well,
I think people
no,
just
no,
need
no,
to pick
because
and choose.
exactly, and also because I was thinking in weightlifting, for example, I'm back
Like
to
say no,
my
bro.
favorite group is China. China has an amazing weightlifting team, and the big names get saved for the Olympics and they get saved for the most important competition, and then everyone else gets sent everywhere else.
Mhm.
And I think as nations become more competitive, we'll kind of see that happening. There's the big name Durance gets saved for Worlds, and then
I'm not gonna be
everyone
safe for
else
word, bro.
gets sent everywhere else, you know?
But that
I
also
mean,
that depends really heavily on like each nation's own like selection criteria. So
Yes.
I'm lucky that in New Zealand, basically like because I'm qualifying, I'm hitting totals at these internationals, they'll let me use those totals as selection for like worlds teams and stuff. Um, if we're looking at like the calendar for next year and it's Sheffield Worlds World Games, I don't get to compete at all locally. And I don't know if I agree with that. Like
Mm,
it's cool that like I can do all these international comps, but like there's no where is the space for me to compete locally in there? Like it's just not realistic. And
yeah.
I think that it's good for those like big name lifters to be at local meets. Like that's good for the sport domestically. Um, and there are some countries that like they don't care if you competed at that international, you still
you
have to
gotta
do
be
their
nationals.
nationals to qualify. And like you still have to do well to qualify. And like then you've got lifters who are just doing back to back competitions, which
I
is
mean, look at
not good.
Sonita of Belgium. She has to do every international. She cannot skip an international. You know, like a lot
But
of people skipped the Euros because they had Sheffield. She turned up
Mm,
at Sheffield. She turned up at the Euros because that's what the federation is asking her to do, and she has to do that. You know, again, as we said, the way every single country has the criteria is different. You know, it affects people
mm,
differently. But Mo mentioned one thing about the example you gave about the weightlifting. You save the top athletes for a bigger comp, and the rest you send them on every now and then, and they comes around. At the Europeans, I think we are having that infrastructure implanted now. It was still there, but now it's coming more alive because we have the Euros and we have the Western Euros. It's almost like a nation can have A team, B, and a C team. The A goes to World, the B
mm.
go to the Euros, and the C go to the Western. You know, so the C team can feed into the B can feed into the A.
Yeah.
You know, because but the problem I have there, and me personally, my problem I have there when you have go three different teams like that, if you qualify people for World already, and the B team goes to the Euro before World, and the B team does it so well, and now the head coach has got questions about your A team.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So what are you gonna do? Like we had that issue this year. Fair enough. I won because we had the qualifying criteria in November and all of that stuff. But Mo and Ade did the Arnolds. They did better than us that went to the Euros. But we were already qualified for World. And now, if the reality of what I'm saying is you want to send
Yeah.
your best team to World, right?
But
And
that
now you
selection
have
is
got these.
hard
Yeah,
It's
it
tough.
is, isn't it?
It's very hard.
because
You know?
also I think like so when I have a little bit to do with our selection sometimes for our international teams, and you also have to look at like where that total was completed and like
Yeah.
were the conditions the same as someone else that you're looking at. So we try to prioritize like nationals, like the total that you achieved at nationals over a higher total that you might have done at a lower meet, because we don't know if the conditions were quite as strict at like a local meet versus a national meet. And I suppose like you could even say that about internationals as well. Like, okay, did they have to travel to compete at that international? Like, does that factor into like this performance? And like, does that mean that their performance was actually better than someone else's? And like, it's I mean, it means that like our sport is getting more competitive because it's getting harder to choose who's going because everyone's so good.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I know if we've crashed over 2 hours now. This is the longest we've done for a very, very long time. That means even though your answers are diplomatic, but it's always good to chat to you. So hopefully one day you will turn that button off to be, be a normal person. But anyway,
What even a normal person? This is a normal person.
Once the recording is turned off, my true opinions come out.
I want to get that Malta Evie, the one that when you two people are face to face, what she's saying, oh my god, I wish I'm recording Evie this way, But anyway, my last few questions, Evie, what message do you have? This is going to be political again. I don't even see the point of asking this. What message do you have to your fellow competitors leading to Malta, leading to Lithuania?
And just to add in, there might be the battle for best lifter, because I've been trying to do the calculations to see what you might need to hit to get the best lifter award. If you're
I hadn't
interested in
even
that.
thought about that, to be honest. I hadn't considered it. I don't know. I'm looking forward to competing with them all, honestly. I'm sorry, this is so diplomatic, but yeah, I love meeting all of the lifters, and like I wish them all the best, and I think we're gonna have a great time.
I think you're not looking forward to that World Championship. You're only looking forward to that road trip that you booked, isn't it?
I'm really looking forward to the road trip afterwards and all
I
the
thought
food.
so. I thought so. That World Championship because
I
it's
will
going
be
to be
bringing snacks again, by the way. I'll bring
See?
some snacks for everyone.
Yeah.
International snack
Yeesh.
exchange is in full swing.
She's bringing snacks and some teas to other people. Sheffield dream is done for others. But anyway, Mo, any other question from your side?
I just had one interesting question is, you've got a suitcase packed in the background. When do you set off to Lithuania, or have you already started preparing?
No, it's empty at the moment, but we leave Monday, so it's like in about a week's time.
Fair enough.
Oh, brilliant, brilliant. So, Evie, thank you for joining us. Thank you for coming. Thank you for chatting to us. Even though, again, as I said, you are so diplomatic, and I was not expecting that. But again, when you won Sheffield, you came back again with a 20 kilo on the world record. Where again, as I said, everybody have full junction behind you. So your answers were always going to be diplomatic, because it's almost like, why should I come and fire shot here when there's nobody to fire to? So it's fine. I can take that.
That's one way of putting it.
Oh,
exactly.
No point in firing shots.
Yeah, because I'm already ahead. So yeah, that's it. I must save my bullet. Anyway, for those who are listening to us, guys, if you got any comment from me, Mo, Evie, just drop in a comment, or if you got a message, just send it to Evie. Evie, I know you're a coach, right? A lot of British lifters nowadays, they don't want to be coached by British coaches. They want to be coached by internationals. So if anyone wants to reach out to you, how would they do that?
Just on Instagram. I don't have a lot of space at the moment, but maybe I'll open up another or a couple of more spots after Worlds. So yeah, just Instagram. at BV.
Please just do that for the British lifters, right? Please, because we want
They can hit Jason
GB.
up.
We want GB to grow. You know what I mean? We want GB to grow to get that New Zealand mentality.
Jason
right?
prices these days will be. It's not. Once you got a Sheffield winner under your cards, your rooster, it's impossible.
Trust me. You need to bloody remortgage your
London's
house for
not
that.
cheap, you know.
It's not. He's got to pay rent. He's got to pay transportation.
No, especially where he lives is not cheap, right? Because Jason does not live in the outskirts of London. No, he lives there.
No, he doesn't. Yeah,
You know, so it's not
he
cheap.
lives in the trendy part.
Exactly. So it's not a cheap area. So on that note, guys, please send us any comment, any message. So again, I invite people, as I said, if anyone want to join us next time, just jump in. If it will have you again after World, because again, I know that world record, you're not going to break it. We all know that. Right, again, as the boy said, you're probably gonna come in, take your second attempt deadlift and miss out the other one. So it's gonna happen again. Right, it's a fact. Anyway, on that note, guys, peace.
Yeah.